Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here, and welcome to episode 46 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As always, I'm joined by the birthday boy himself, Lord Cognito.
Yo, thanks for Xbox for sharing that day with me.
Oh, yeah.
No, it was good, man. Thanks for everybody for all the love. Big week, big weekend. I'm excited. We got some royalty here in the realm of the Dukes.
Indeed, we do.
Good day, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, joined by the man with a million, Rand Al Thor. Rand, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? Cotty.
I'm
That's
Cotty.
a mix.
I like that. Matty and Cotty. I like that.
That's how you bring us together.
That's how you bring us together.
It's great to be here again, but we're missing. This isn't the invasion that I was promised.
Yeah, I know. We've let everyone down. We promised the Avengers, and one of our members went down. Jez is not here. Like we promised this week. I apologize. He was not feeling well. We didn't want to force him on. He was actually seemingly wanting to come on. He was like, look, but like when he messaged me, he was like, mate, I'll be honest with you. And like that's what he said. And he like leveled with me. I was like, all right, look, Jez, like it's cool. We'll get you next time. We'll get Rand on with us. We'll figure it out. We'll do that Avengers crossover. Maybe when Xbox buys a studio or something. That'll probably be more fun.
We'll get the Avengers all together at one point. So you had them both individually. Just imagine them getting together. But it'll happen. But again, heal up, Jez. I know you wanted to be here for sure.
Absolutely. But we have a great show ahead of us. And we love having Rand here. Of course, this week was Xbox's 20th anniversary, so we're going to be talking a shit ton of Halo this episode. We're going to be getting into back compat on top of a stacked news list about Game Pass and its sustainability and plenty more. So thank you so much for joining us in what I imagine will be one of our bigger weeks. If you're new here and you're interested in supporting the show afterwards, you simply can't wait for an episode like this, which I understand. We have early access over on patreon.com/laststandmedia. That goes live every Thursday. Afterwards, it hits free feeds on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube, all that stuff Sunday. We'll see you there if you don't want to pay, no problem. Of course, Defining Duke Ultimate is our Patreon-only show. We just did one based all around back compat, a deep dive on that because the back compat conquest has picked up, or has it? We'll talk about that a little bit more. As when we recorded that episode, there was a change in plans that appears on the end of Xbox.
Yeah.
Other than that, not much else to promote here. Just welcome to our show, and thank you for giving us some of your time this week. Just a couple of things before we begin and get into the listener write-ins. Saints Row has been delayed to August 23rd, 2022. So for those of you who are having a bit of a panic attack about what you were going to play in February, know that one game has left the most stacked month in gaming history. So you can rest easy on that one. Yeah, significant delay there, 6 months.
February real, man. I told you, somebody going to blink.
Yeah, I was going to say, man. There's a lot of people who are going to move.
A victim.
Yes. Yeah. Elden Ring's not moving. I don't think Horizon's moving, but I think everyone else could probably move.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I agree.
Like Dying Light, I feel that's a candidate to move. Bump that shit back. Just give it some sustainability there. Another write-in comes from VRG. Hey, fellas, in the light of the Halo Infinite beta, the coming Christmas season, and the console shortage, I wanted to share a tip on grabbing a Xbox Series S that isn't part of a more expensive bundle. About a month ago, I downloaded the Best Buy app and realized the retailer gets new stock of Series S's towards the tail end of the work week. This stock does not disappear instantly, so ordering online for in-person pickup is headache-free. Last weekend, I decided to pull the trigger, and boy, did it pay off this Monday. Give it a try. By the way, I live in San Diego, so this is the experience of someone in a densely populated area. So I just thought this might be a good tip to pass to our audience, as we often get the question, should I buy an Xbox? It's like, well, now here's a way that you can if you actually want to. Yeah. And then this one comes from Christopher Pattenden. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Hey, Dukes, would love to see the downloads for Chicken Little. Respect to Microsoft for trying to preserve as many games as possible. Cheers, Chris the Chicken Fucker. So
salute to him.
Yeah, hey, for real. And hey, I'm doing my part because I said in my video, I was like, yeah, this gets 4K likes. I'll see you guys on stream. I'll be playing Chicken Little. And anytime I do that, it never does well. Because like I said, I don't think I got enough clout. People don't want to see me suffer too much. I appreciate that. People are looking out for me. They're like, Matty's not a bad guy. So that worked against me this time. I will be streaming Chicken Little within the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that if you follow my channel. That'll be fun.
Salute.
Anyway, enough wrap up there. Let's talk about what we're playing. I want to pass this off to our wonderful guest, Rand Al Thor. Rand, what games have you been playing this week?
It's interesting because I thought you were going to ask me what my defining deuce was.
Oh, God.
If you got a story to share, we're
if you
all
like
ears.
to share,
I just wanted to bring that up because I was dying when you guys were talking about it the other week. So what have I been playing? Well, I'm playing the same thing that I would imagine you both are, and that is Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and also a little bit of Battlefield 2042.
Okay.
I got really into the extraction mode with my buddies. I actually really like that mode. I know online there's a lot of wouldn't say hate towards that mode, but a lot of just people don't like it. They like the big all-out warfare, and usually that's what I like about Battlefield as well. But that extraction mode, I don't know. We had 4 buddies on. We're like trying it, and we were just having a blast. I think we put in so much time on that mode, and I mean, I currently really like Battlefield 2042.
Is it as broken as people are saying, as buggy as people are saying?
No, I didn't really have that many problems. Maybe it's because I was playing that mode specifically, and that mode is only 8 squads of 4 people each, so 32 plus with AI guarding some of the objectives. That I didn't really experience any of the issues. But, come on, Return of the King, though, right? Halo Infinite. The Battlefield got dropped real quick.
That's what I was going to ask you. I didn't start it up for that purpose because I was like, I was curious. But so now that I was just real quick before you go on, Rand, because I do want to ask you about what is the rule set of the extraction mode, just so I know, because I haven't even fired it up.
It's 4 in a squad, 8 other squads, and you're all vying to find these data pads scattered throughout the map from like satellites that have crashed from the sky, right? And cool. Usually guarding the data pads might be some AI enemies, right? But then as you go to get a data pad, another team might be coming in to then basically take it from you, and then after a certain amount of time, an extraction spot will be marked on the map. There'll be a timer, and a plane will come in, and you have to extract. But then it shows it to everywhere on the map. So then you have other teams who want to get the the data thing, and then you earn money. So then in the next game, you earn the money. You can buy better weapons, better like perks and stuff like that, and start again. So
almost feels Division Dark Zone vibe a little bit.
Have you played the portal mode? That was the one thing that to me looked really, really cool.
Yeah, the portal mode's really, really, really interesting. We played in a couple Battlefield 2 maps, and it was really populated. But I don't know, my friends just really like. A lot of them were really big fans of Escape from Tarkov, and it kind of feels like a AAA version of Escape from Tarkov, but on like a really small scale. Gotcha. Right, you come in with the squad, you get something, and you try to extract. But it was a lot of fun for us. Cool. I don't know how much we'll get to play it anytime soon because everybody's like wanting to play Halo Infinite and grind that battle pass.
We are grinding.
We're gonna get into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say our first news subject. We'll talk all about Halo Infinite if we want to hold the talk.
Yeah, we'll hold
it. Halo Infinite dropped a defining deuce with that battle pass.
Yeah, they really did. All right, Cog, what have you been playing this week?
Also, Halo Infinite, of course, which we'll get into deeper, but just been fun. Just real quick, I have to say, big team battle with the homies. I forgot about how fun that was. So it was just bringing people in. It was like, a roster change. Every 5 minutes, someone jump on the party. Yo, get in. Shout out to so many people. Kiss Move, Jay Fonzarelli. I mean, so many people just came. So shout out to them. Still been playing Forza. Nice. I've been rocking that. I've been getting people been hitting me up with little rival challenges to my driver. So I get it. I'm like, damn, I can't beat this person's time. I got to pick a better car, tune it up. You know what I'm saying? So salute to that. And then, which we'll get into later, Forgotten City. I remember you mentioned it to me, Matty, and then we had Grub on, and you both told me about it, and it was one of those moments where I fired it up, and I'm like, okay, let me play, and then next thing you know, I'm thoroughly addicted. I can't stop playing. So, and I'll get into it later, but that's it. But what about you, Matty?
Yeah, of course, Halo Infinite got a lot to say on this one. I've been on the mega grind with that one. Speaking of mega, I've been playing Mega Man X Legacy Collection.
Ooh.
My friend got me back into this one. I don't think a lot of people know how much I love the X series. I think it's fantastic. Now there's exceptions, like there's X7, which I just encourage people to go look up some of the dialogue. I think it's so bad it's good, but it's definitely not a good game. So there's some misses throughout this series. But the Legacy Collection has X1 through X8. X8 being my personal favorite. And so it's been nice just to hop back into this in between reviews. And Mega Man doesn't demand a lot of my attention in the sense that like most story heavy games do. Like there's lore there that if you pay attention to what people are saying, it's really neat. But I've been going through X2 as of late and just kind of doing a full series playthrough because these games aren't very long. It's kind of like a chain reaction. Once you find one boss, you beat it, and you find that weakness, and then you just go from stage to stage, just exploiting all those weaknesses. It's a really satisfying series to play. So I enjoy that. Plus the little upgrades you can get around stages and the going back and forth. I hope one day they just make a X type of Metroidvania because I think it would be really fitting for the franchise. They tried that with Mega Man Zero Advent, I believe it was, but that didn't turn out too well. So yeah, I've been playing this on my PlayStation 5, and it's been going pretty well. It's been good to go back to that nice little game to ease into the holiday season with outside of Halo Infinite.
Cool.
Well, because that's the thing, right? Like we're at this point now where got one review left, at least in my case, and it's like I have nothing else to play. Okay, cool. Like I can actually just go do what I want to some extent. Great feeling.
I'm surprised Cog's playing Forza Horizon 5. It's not game of the year worthy. I mean, is it worth playing anymore, Cog?
Is that on the docket, Matty? Is that on the docket?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was saying because I got stuff to say there. I'm trying to hold off.
Don't worry. Our audience was fire this episode, as always. Wrote in a lot about the likes of Halo, Forza, as well as much more.
I got you, man. Trust me, we gonna talk.
Yeah. Let's get into the warm-up questions. We'll get to the exciting stuff right now. Micah Hendrick writes in, what's up, Matty and Cog? Microsoft just, the English here is not right here. Microsoft just do Playground Games and Forza Horizon 5 dirty by dropping Halo Infinite multiplayer early. There was already a tight 1-month window between first-party major releases, but now only 2 weeks separate Forza from its FPS bigger brother. Is Microsoft cannibalizing Forza's player base by essentially dropping Infinite right on top of it? Thanks, Dukes. Keep up the stellar work. Thank you, Micah. How are we feeling about this, gents? This was one of the concerns and one of the talking points pre-launch for Halo Infinite's multiplayer was, is Forza Horizon 5 going to get wrecked because of this when it was doing so well, surging past, I think, 9 million players at this point in time? Like, it's doing extremely well. Did they hurt this game by launching a first-person shooter next to it? I would say no. I'll get into it in a little bit. I want to know what your thoughts are. Rand, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, so this was kind of the discussion, me and Cog used to have when we were trying to figure out when Halo was going to launch. Like, man, the 15th sounds like a really good date. It's 20th anniversary. And then they, but Forza's on the 9th. That's a really small gap. Are they really going to release their two big hitters like a week apart? And we kind of came to the conclusion like, nah. And then they announced a December 8th date. And we're like, okay, that's a month apart. Gives us some time. But even though, they stealth dropped the multiplayer, I'm going to have to kind of not fully agree with the listener. I do think it will impact it. Because I do think there are going to be people who are going to drop Forza completely, like I have, to go play Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I mean, 10 million players in a week, right? I mean, how incredible is that? That's a huge number. But I think maybe some of its legs might be like kind of kicked out from underneath them a little bit. Some people that may have been enjoying playing through the game are now suddenly going to be like, hey, look at this, this hottie over here. I'm going to go enjoy. So yeah, I do think it impacts it maybe a little bit from people who are enjoying Forza who are now have something else to play. And let's face it, like maybe they never go back to Forza Horizon 5 or they don't go back to Forza Horizon 5 until a DLC expansion comes out. But, maybe in the grand scheme of things, a free-to-play shooter isn't really going to impact a racing game. But I do think it has a small impact. Yeah. But the question I have is like, was this always the plan for Halo? Were they always going to try to? And I don't know if that's like a topic yet to come, but how much of this? I mean, how much of this was in the plans? Did Playground Games know about it? Were they aware that Halo was going to drop on the 15th? Is this really kind of like, oh, Microsoft's like, we just want to keep the momentum going, right? We got Forza and Game Pass. Here comes Halo. We want all these players in there talking about Xbox. We got new shipments of Series X and Series S, so people can pick these up if they want, get Game Pass. Like, how much of this was all part of the plan?
And to work it back an extra step, you got to wonder if that's why they did early access as a part of Forza Horizon's package. I mean, they've done it for a while, so it's I think arguably not, but with its surging numbers, I think it just brings to light that could be a possibility. If they were at least thinking of like, oh, we got early access, people, if they want to get in, they'll pay for it. But Cog, how are you feeling about Halo and Forza dropping so close to one another?
This is such a great question. I love this one. Furious debate on IOP on this one as well. Look, it's an interesting thing. I think it's one of those things that when I first heard about it, and Rand, we both talked about it, like, why, we were both saying the question was, why do it, right? Why put this out there so close proximity to Forza if, Forza's getting legs? But there's a part of me that says, Matty, like, I don't think they knew coming in, like, they knew Forza was going to do well. This is my opinion, right? Yeah. They knew Horizon 5 was going to do well. But I don't think they thought it was going to hit the way it's hit. Yeah, like, I think this, because to be honest, like, I'm a Forza guy, Horizon guy, but even I was surprised that it really universally hit this way. And I was just like, okay, it's cool to see it get its roses the way it is. So I think my gut tells me instinctually they weren't going to do this all along. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I think they were going to do this all along with Halo multiplayer is that we knew it was going to officially launch December, that there's a part of me that says Game Pass subscribers. And there's a part of me that says by November, whatever internal target they want to hit, they want to kind of guarantee that bad boy gets reached by having the Forza players. And then you have this Halo Infinite multiplayer beta. And then you just kind of galvanize November. And I think to Rand's point, yes, short term, we're not going to lie, it is going to affect Forza on some level. There are some people who will drop Forza. And there are also some people that will stay with Forza because they're just not Halo people. But I think the way Microsoft looks at it is they're probably going to say, you know what, long-term Game Pass subscriber game by having both is more beneficial than maybe short-term, Forza Horizon 5 player loss kind of thing. Yeah. But it's an interesting discussion. I'm curious what you think, Matty, because you kind of feel like it's not going to affect Forza too much. So I want to know like your mindset with this whole thing.
I think after hearing both your thoughts on it, I think I'd fall a little bit more in the middle, but okay. I think the reason that there isn't going to be a strong impact is they're so separate. I've always been a big believer in that. Like, this isn't a Battlefield 1 versus Titanfall 2 situation like we always look to as games cannibalizing each other. This is two separate things. We're talking open world racing game, and we're talking free-to-play first-person shooter. I just think there's a strong enough difference there where both studios are probably comfortable launching right next to each other. I think it's also Xbox doesn't maybe care. And the reason I say that, and that's not in a dismissive way, but their job is to support the studios and make them happy. And if they're launching next to each other, you kind of just got to roll with that. It's like, okay, we're going to do what's best for 343, which was this. And we're going to do what's best for Forza Horizon, which was launching in November. This was a topic of conversation for months leading into it. But I think there's enough of a separation there. Will it hurt Forza a little bit in the early going? Yeah, but I don't think that Forza, after hitting almost 10 million players and probably surpassing at this point in time, got screwed over by any means. This is still one of the highest played Xbox Game Studios titles, and they're probably thrilled about that. That's a milestone. That's an achievement. They're going to make a lot of money with this game. They're going to do a ton of expansions with it. Forza's got legs, just like Halo's got legs. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to, because they're launching next to each other, you can also maybe expect them to hit similar beats in the terms of their expansions and new seasons and all that stuff, where it's about the ecosystem, right? They're kind of like, when Xbox has something to say next time, maybe about Forza, you may also hear something about Halo. And I think that's a good possibility. So I think it's overall not something I'm super concerned about. I think Forza will be just fine.
One thing I'm curious, and Rand, you help me out here. Do you like how do guys are checking that player count in Forza? Where are they going? Because I was trying to find that when I was playing.
Yeah, that's the Hall of Fame leaderboard, I believe.
Okay, because I got to check. I'm very curious to see this week and whatever. But to Xbox's credit, or most played. Now, granted, Halo Infinite multiplayer is not there, so I don't know if they need a 2 to 3 day acclamation before it's added to the list. But right now, I'm looking at it. Forza Horizon 5 is still number one.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we got to see we need more time for this kind of data to kind of settle.
So when I looked a couple days ago, Forza Horizon 5 was number 2, only behind Call of Duty Modern Warfare for Warzone. Right. So you're telling me now Forza Horizon 5 is now the most played game on all of Xbox?
Yeah, it's Forza, Modern Warfare, Fortnite, Apex, then Vanguard and Grand Theft Auto round out the top 6.
Yeah, those lists do take a little bit of time to
update.
Yeah, so Halo Infinite will probably be on there in a couple, and it'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. Yeah.
Phil came out there, and I know you guys talked about this last episode. 4.5 million players, right? Day one,
right?
Like, they haven't given Halo Infinite numbers yet, and
I'm gonna check right now, boys. I'm gonna check right now. Let's see how this works while we're recording the podcast.
Oh yeah, you know what? Actually, I can even test the cloud browser and see how they're gonna.
This is gonna be wild to see, man. But I'll give it a shot while we're recording.
Do you think they announced the Halo Infinite player numbers because it was like the third highest free to play launch ever on Steam, like 275,000 on day one.
That's insane, bro.
They haven't said anything yet. So, and technically, this isn't the full this is a beta, even though it feels like the full like this is version 1, right?
Yeah.
This they can whatever, it's beta, but like, do you think we get player numbers from Halo from anytime this week? Like, hey, this is what Halo did in a week or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like Xbox has been putting their chest out a little bit with numbers. I think they're going to do it. They just did it with Forza. I think they're going to do it with Halo, but they also might share it like on launch day or something like that. That's the thing that's curious about Halo Infinite is how they're calling it a beta now. So we're going to talk about the Battle Pass extensively. Like, when's the first update where we hear about things that are going to change? Is it in like a week because it's pretty urgent? Is the content release schedule completely different now because it's going to feel a little bit longer since we're getting it almost a month early? Yeah. There's a lot of question marks surrounding that. So it's a tough call to make, but I got some bad news here. Unfortunately, there's no touch controls for Forza Horizon 5.
So you can't even.
I don't have a controller here, so I cannot do it. I cannot use the power of the cloud. Yeah.
Leave the podcast fired up. Come back. I'm just joking.
Unfortunate.
It's all good.
Well, we're gonna stick with Forza Horizon 5 in our next write in here from Caleb Hager. Hey, Dookies. I have to call a spade here. Why is Far Cry getting so much flack when it sticks to its guns, but Forza Horizon is highly praised while doing the same thing? I'm playing the new Forza Horizon 5 and loving it, but recognize it is very much a copy and paste of Horizon 4 on a new map, much like 4 was to 3. For example, the menu layout is essentially the same, the default characters are the same batch from 4, and events are very similar. I have nothing wrong with this as I love the gameplay loop, but I'm surprised no one else is bringing this up. Curious what your thoughts are. Love the show and have an 8-hour flight delay type of day. That's fucking brutal, man.
Yo, those are brutal, man. Be in the airport, you ain't got no spot. I'm curious about Rand with this one. I'm dying to Rand on this one.
This was something I said to you, Cog, when I was playing the game for review. I was like, are we going to have a Far Cry effect? Because Far Cry 6 came out and people were like, I'm sick of the formula, right? And I was like, Forza Horizon 5 is going to be the same thing. Yeah. Is it real? And to be fair, a lot of people did mention in their reviews that it's like, it's the same. It's Forza Horizon. Like, it's going to play the exact same from 3 and 4. So why does Far Cry get a lot of, crap for it, but Forza Horizon doesn't? That's a good question, honestly. And when thinking about it, maybe it has to do with the type of games. Like, I think people realize that a racing game really can't do much to change itself over time. Like, if you wanted Forza to change, like, what do you want it to be? Burnout? Well, then it's not Forza Horizon at that point. But like, Far Cry has, I think the thing with 6 is Far Cry has added things in addition to what they normally do that I don't think people like. Like, they added loot with New Dawn and 6. And then you have like the levels with their health bar over people's enemies, where like if you're not high enough level when you go into an area, you get instantly killed, which wasn't in the previous Far Cry games, but is now in that. I don't think people really like that. So I think some of the frustration around some of the gameplay decisions that they've done with a couple recent Far Cries, like factors into like, oh, this is the same game and it has these other new like features that I don't like, so I don't like Far Cry anymore. But it's an interesting question because, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like Forza is going to be Forza and Far Cry is going to be Far Cry. One seems to get a pass while the other one doesn't. But I will say that I do think, like, if they do another Forza Horizon, so the 6th one in 3 or 4 years, I do think people will get more on them for being the same.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're at that point where it's like you've seen the rise of Forza Horizon, you know, with 3 kind of being the start of like, okay, this is a 90, 4 hitting a 92, and then 5 being superior in every way to 4, but still only hitting that 92. Like, I think it's crested at its peak, its apex. And honestly, I think going forward, it's just going to then start going down.
Gotcha.
Even if they do, maybe they get around it by adding Japan for the next one.
I was gonna say, this is where they do it.
But it's a very interesting question. I'm interested in seeing what you guys think about it.
Let's start with you, Matty, because the reason why I would refer to you is because you've both played Far Cry. I haven't, so I'm curious about this comparison for you, from your perspective.
I think it's also kind of like what Rand was saying about the genres themselves. I think Far Cry has a lot more room to evolve, and it's evolved in the wrong way. So you look at what Far Cry really started as. I haven't played the first one, but I think of like Far Cry 2. You could get diseases. It was very gritty. Like when your character got shot, you'd see them peel the bullet out of their arm. Like there's a lot of really cool hardcore elements to Far Cry. And you saw almost a strong evolution, I would say, of them in Far Cry 3, where there was still that survivability. There was still that very tribal nature almost to the game. But it was also fun, like it was the introduction of the Ubisoft sync points where it decorates your open world map and you go do the little collectibles. It's when it was fresh and fun, right? They were evolving it in new and meaningful ways. The issue is, once they figured that out, they never did shit with it. And if you watch my review of Far Cry 6, my God, did I kick the hell out of that game, because it's literally Far Cry 3 again. And it's embarrassing. And that's the thing, is that they have the opportunity as a first-person shooting open world game to try and do new things, but they don't. Right? I think with a driving game, you're confined to your car. There's only so many things you could do. So there is, I think, a higher praise for mastering your formula there. And yeah, there is the question of what do you do next? And there is the limitation of how much can you do. I think Forza also has a path. Like, this may sound crazy, but bikes and those types of things. I think there's just different vehicles that you throw in next time. Kind of take the path of the crew. The crew, I thought, was a good idea from Ubisoft. It was not executed that well. Start doing water races. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of room for Forza to expand beyond just cars. They're lucky they've got this far with 92s by just staying in cars, and you raced against planes in the air. Like, what if you were the plane? I think about that. That's where I'm expecting 6 to hopefully go. We'll see if that actually occurs. But yeah, I think people will start to catch on. I think I mentioned that in my Forza Horizon 5 review as well, is that I think come 6, there may be a smidge of fatigue. Like, okay, shake it off. Let's do something new. But what about you, Cog?
This is a good one. I mean, I love the series so much. So when I was listening to both of you talk about it, they're valid points here. You know, I'm not going to disrespect, Caleb in reference to his question, but I do think when it's a driving game, there is limitations clearly of what you can do in a game. Because like to Rand's point, I remember speaking to Attic in his review, and he's talking about Need for Speed or whatever, and cops and stuff like that. But if you do that, then it's like you're essentially Need for Speed, right? So it's a tough balance. But at the same time, outside of the biome, the area, which is usually the character of the Forza Horizon series, right? That is a big deal. And shout out to the cops; they're excited.
Dude, no, I love how this is the second week in a row when you start talking about the cops, they show up.
I talk about cops, they show up. Talk about fire department come through. Salute to my area. But yeah, man. So it's like I do agree. There's limitations there. I'd also agree though with Rand in the sense that, outside of Japan, we may have reached peak. We may have reached peak with it, right? The only thing I can think about is the character creation stuff is really kind of archaic at this point. They really got to do better with that, especially body types. Come on, some beefy boys. I ain't no beefy boys out in Forza. Like, what's going on? Everybody's skinny with the jorks. Like, come on, like we can't. Like, come on, bro. So it's like at the end of the day, we got to do something. This is a valid question, but I do feel there is something about Forza from a fun factor and the fact that what's the development cycle between the last, like, what is it? Will we say bi-annual, like bi-yearly? Like,
it was biannual, I believe. And then they extended this one out because it let them double the size of the map. So I feel like that's the other thing. That's it. Not to interrupt your train of thought here.
Please.
It just reminded me that with them extending that development cycle and seeing it pay off, I wonder if they're going to really give them time to, like, again, take an extra year or so, make something new and refreshing, kind of reward those fans. It gives them more time to do post-launch support with how many players they've already got. There's definitely something there for them to tap into.
Yeah. I don't think they'll go back to the 2-year cycle.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, motorsport's going to be a platform kind of like Halo moving forward. And I do think we will see a Forza Horizon 6, but I mean, I think you're talking 3 to 4 years from now.
Yeah, we got to remember Fable. Yeah, Fable's next.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Facts. Good point. And to me, that's fine. Like, I like that. Yeah, like, we can miss you, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't it good to say, Rand, like, Xbox Game Studios in that place where they remember, like, let's be real, Forza was, especially like, they were carrying Xbox on its back, bro. So to now say, okay, you know what? You get to break a little bit. Playground's going to do Fable, right? And then you got all the other cadences of Xbox Game Studios that they'll be fine. I will agree this feels like peak. And if it comes again, like if it did come out in 2 years, then I'll be like, yeah, bro, okay, so much of the same. But it's a good question. I just think that the fun factor, the graphical fidelity, the onboarding and accessibility of this Forza truly captivated everyone this time. And in a way that 4 and 3 didn't. 3 showed that the series was more viable because, to your point, Rand, even Microsoft didn't know that they had this great game sitting there because they was like, who's going to want an open world arcade racer, right? But okay, Rand, you was about to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, like, Playground Games and Coalition held it down for the Xbox One gen. Forza Horizon 2, 3, and 4 in that span, and the Coalition did what? Gears Ultimate, Gears 4, and Gears 5? Like, let them have a break, and they deserve that break.
Yeah, like, I would love to see the Coalition break off and do something a little new.
I'm with you, bro.
As per Grubby Grub, we are getting that new game from them.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's supposed to be before Gear 6.
Apparently, it's like I heard it was like a smaller game, something like that. So
yeah.
We'll see what that actually ends up being. But this is the thing, I wanted them to do something before Gear 6 because, like, you guys kind of like you see Playground Games getting let off the leash a little bit. It's like, Coalition, you guys have done so good. Like, I know you got to finish Gear 6. Like, there's a story there that's got to be completed. But
he's in the bushes.
I'm really hoping that they
looks like you're the host now, Kyle.
He's in the
co-host. All right, let's go.
Hopefully, Matty gets out of the ether. He gets back into the call. We'll check in on him. But no, I'm with him. I'm with him on as far as the Coalition. I feel there he is. He's back.
Yeah, I was like, I was there. I was hearing you loud and clear, and you just kept talking. I was like, I'm here. Hello. And
no, because we didn't hear you talking. We saw you frozen. Yeah, now okay. Continue your thought.
Oh man, what was I even saying? I was so confused because you guys all hear is I'm the new co-host now. I'm like, that had nothing to do with what I was saying. Yeah, I was like, what was I even saying?
It was me and Rand's evil plan all along.
I was off xCloud too. I don't know what just happened there.
Yeah, it's probably like a network blip. You're fine now.
All I was saying was that I wanted Coalition to get let off the leash. I feel like they've earned it just like Playground Games has. But continue. You were about to say something, Cog.
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, like I said, I'm completely with you. I love when studios get a chance to break away from their normal formula, see what they can do, stretch their wings, and then most likely an Unreal Engine 5.
Yes, that is
which is very exciting to me.
All right, we got Cameron Belgrade up next. Howdy, Lord Cog and Jarl Matty. With Xbox turning 20 and it being in the best place it's ever been, I wanted to pose the question. I feel like there is no doubt that Phil has done an outstanding job during his tenure, but he won't be here forever. Do you all think the brand can still thrive when he leaves one day? Obviously, the team and the accomplishments are bigger than just one man, but looking at the timeline of the brand, his hire really symbolizes the turning point from where Xbox was during the launch of the Xbox One in 2013 and where it is today. Hopefully, he sets up a good trajectory for his success. Have a Matty is in his 30s when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out type of guy.
Let's get it. What you think, man?
I mean, look, Phil's done a lot to turn around the brand, right? And I did see an article recently about Microsoft wanting Phil to have a succession plan in place for whenever he does decide to walk off into the sunset, like my job here is done. And I like right now looking at it, it really does seem like Xbox is positioning Sarah Bond as Phil's eventual replacement. When that will be, I don't know. Like you think about like the leads or the heads of divisions, like, Sean Layden, PlayStation, right? Man. Like all the people that were involved with Xbox, like Ed Freeze, Seamus Blackley, to Peter Moore, to Don Matrick, right? Like
the Don.
But they go through so many.
Sucks, dude.
Don does.
We were talking. Not to interrupt you, Rand, but we were talking on the Xbox 20 stream, and just you were looking at the line of leaders Xbox has had. Original was great, 360 is great, and then you just got Don Matrick there. You're like, what happened, man?
Of your fave? We not put him in the Hall of Fame.
I have some thoughts here that I'll share, but Rand, please continue.
Don Matrick was awful, and I always just like picture him as like the downfall of the Xbox brand, even though there's some Xbox fans,
yes.
Cog, that really like him because to people, he symbolizes the 360 was dominant and beating PlayStation, right? So they like
took the reins from my man because my man left. My man left a ship for him that he shouldn't have messed up.
He inherited gold.
He inherited gold. Yeah,
this job is very stressful. Over on the PlayStation side, you have like Andrew House and like Sean Layden and Jack Trenton. They don't really last long, and Phil's been the head since 2014, I want to say.
Microsoft
so
lifer.
it's been a while, right? And he's a lifer, so he's never going to basically work for anybody else. Yeah. I was a little worried that he was going to leave relatively soon, like maybe 2022-ish. But then they bought Bethesda. And I think maybe one of the promises he made to his really good friend Todd Howard and people there were like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here for the long haul with you guys, right?" So I was watching one of Matty's videos recently, and he mentioned how Todd Howard's, when you were crying about Fallout 5 coming in 2040, he's saying that like, is Todd Howard even gonna be there? When they start doing Fallout 5, because he's getting up there in age and so is Phil, right? Yeah. So maybe Todd Howard walks off in the sunset with Elder Scrolls 6. And
I can see that. Yeah.
Phil basically maybe does the same. They plant the base building, what they've done with xCloud and Game Pass right now, getting all the studios ready, and then maybe they start talking about next generation hardware and what they want to do, and then you just pass the baton off to Sarah Bond. So
yeah. She'd be an ideal one to pass it off to. It seems like it's a culture thing, right? And the reason I say that is you see what happens with PlayStation, where I don't think they're having a bad generation, but there's clearly been, based off reports and kind of what we're seeing, an internal shift, like big on exclusivity, really locking down games. I don't want to say not for value, because they definitely provide value in their own way, but it's not what I think Xbox is doing, which is, I frankly think, dominant. And so when these new leaders come in, you look at the PS4 gen versus the PS5, and I just think it's night and day in a lot of ways. I really do. Like the shutting down of the PS3 store, the Vita store, and then going back on that. It shows they're listening, but they have different mindsets and how quickly that switch can flip. Where I feel like Xbox's biggest accomplishment with Phil Spencer, above all else, above xCloud, above exclusivity, above even Bethesda, is getting Microsoft in. Because now that Microsoft is backing you, I think that culture will stay. And that's important. I think they know they have that safety net. They know they have their involvement. They're at that round table. And I think that is what will keep this alive for a while, is Phil's biggest accomplishment. I think, Cog, you've said this, so I don't want to act like it's my own thought, but it's absolutely that. It's getting Microsoft involved, where the next leader who steps in, who, if it's someone like Sarah Bond, who's been in the public eye, who clearly is working on things, who understands what makes the Xbox brand good, that's a beautiful follow-up, I think. I think that's perfect. So that's ideal, right? But I'm hoping that even if it's not her, that whoever does follow up, that culture has been just deeply built, and it sets in across the entire brand. And if it's reaching to Microsoft, I think that is the case.
But Matty, devil's advocate really quickly here, right?
Okay.
You know, I agree with what you just said and what Kaga said about like Phil's greatest accomplishment is getting Satya to buy in, right? Because we wouldn't be seeing all this investment if Satya didn't believe in what they're doing. However, just like Phil, Satya's not going to be there forever.
Yes. Good point.
Satya is going to have a replacement.
Good point.
And is there a possibility that replacement comes in, looks at Xbox and be like, yeah, we're good. No more investment. You know, let's wind this down. Like, you know, there is like, we have Phil and we have Satya who believe in it, right? But then maybe someone else comes along and they don't necessarily feel the same.
Yeah,
you know?
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
That's fair.
What do you think?
It's the nature of business. It's the nature of the industry. You know, you don't know who's going to be in control. I mean, we've heard names even in the past, you know, the infamous, I wish Jez was here, Terry Myerson. I like to hear him go on Terry Myerson rants. But look, you know, at the end of the day, this is how I look at it. You know, Phil, we got to give him his roses. At the end of the day, I know I'm a huge Peter Moore guy. Right. Peter Moore, to me, represents the Xbox at its peak, 360, golden era. They're serious. They're a player and they're here to stay. Phil inherited such a damaged brand, you know, from just the social media mindset and where the Xbox One was at, right? And everything negative, every negative connotation associated with it was bad for Xbox. That was a generation they technically should not have lost based on the momentum of 360. So to see him turn that thing around with each little incremental step, then like you guys said, also to get Satya and the upper brass to get a seat at the table, right? To now influence and then come up with this Game Pass and construct this great team, right? I'm with Rand that, he's not going to be around forever, right? We know this. This is the nature of it. As much as gamers, we like it. You know, we think there's something wrong with people leaving. These guys got, you know, they got lives. They have things they have to do, families, stuff like that. So he will go at some point. I do think, to Rand's point, there may be an extension based on the relationship with Todd. Matty, you made perfectly with, you know, Todd Howard with Fallout 76. I thought that was very interesting that Todd confided in Phil when 76 did bad and reached like that. Showed me the level of closeness of the relationship that I didn't even know existed. So maybe there's some ties there. And I believe the Bethesda founder, Matty, you correct me, who passed away.
Yeah, Robert Altman.
There you go. Who has certain things in place to kind of facilitate the deal, and they honored that. So I think Phil has a lot to do with that as well. And to the last point, I think Sarah Bond is definitely one of the higher candidates on the list from a success. You see her visibly out there, and I honestly think she's fantastic. I'm learning more about her. I love her indie initiative. I loved her passion for games and Sega.
Dude, you know, if Xbox gets Sega, you know,
you already know who we thank him.
Yeah.
We already know who we thank him. Exactly. Yeah. And I think it behooves them to kind of lock her in because let's be real, she's a hot commodity. Fanboys, fix your face. I know where y'all going with it. Not in that respect. I know where y'all, because I get a lot of, every time we do an ILP and Sarah Bond come on, dude, you see all the fanboys.
My chat during the stream when she showed up, they were like, all right, guys.
I'm like, focus on the game, Jets. Focus on the game. But at the end of the day, she is a hot commodity for other, you know, companies who would love to acquire her, right? Yeah. Let's be honest. So I think it behooves them to kind of lock her in and put her on that path as a eventual successor when Phil leaves. But it's a good problem to have, I think. And they're doing good.
All right. Next write-in, comes from Ryan Griffith. Game Awards is saddening yet unsurprising. Benji Sales made the great point on Twitter that Horizon 5 is the highest reviewed original game that came out this year on Metacritic, and its massive player base demonstrates that more and more people are experiencing the effortless joy that is Horizon. Why are racing games perceived as lesser than story-based games? Why are journalists hesitant in embracing the unique experiences that gaming offers and would rather compare the medium to film? Interested to hear the Duke's thoughts on this. As always, keep fucking that consenting chicken, and I hope you both have a Forza is too good to be nominated for the Game Awards kind of day. P.S. If Rand and Jez are there, Rand is an insider whether he likes it or not, and Mayo is disgusting, Jez. Hopefully Jez is listening.
Mayo is disgusting, and I'm not an insider.
Rand Al Insider, talk to us.
You know, I wish Jez was here for this because he wrote an article today, scathing article, but very truthful about the game of the year the Keeleys, or as he basically calls it, a marketing event and all but name.
It is, absolutely.
We knew this was going to happen. Like,
I don't know. Me and Cog were kind of buying it. We're like, if any year it happens, this was the year.
True. If any year this was the case, because there wasn't the one standout or a couple standout games where it's like, these are it. Like, next year would be impossible, because next year you got Elden Ring, you got God of War, you got Horizon, you got Starfield, you got maybe Breath of the Wild 2, right? So it would have been virtually impossible next year.
Yeah.
This year, there isn't that one dominant game, and you're like thinking like, well, but then you start hearing like, that the ballots were already in before the game even came out, and maybe that were like, on their website, they say the game has to be out by November 19th for public consumption, but then the nominees are out on this November 16th. So like, it's a weird thing. But honestly, like, we knew this was going to happen, because when you have the journalists out there, they don't think of, they can recognize the greatness that is Forza, especially in its genre, right? Where it's objectively a great game. But when you sit down and you like think about, what is my game of the year? Most people aren't going to say Forza, especially journalists, because they don't have that emotional attachment to Forza as they might have Psychonauts 2 or, Deathloop. We know Matty has a nice attachment to Deathloop.
It's
that one made the list, though. Don't worry.
It made the list. It made the list. So I'm not surprised that it was left out. I do see a lot of people talking about like, well, it shouldn't have been nominated because it's a racing game and it's niche, and because it doesn't do anything new compared to its previous entry. And I'm like, Resident Evil 8's on there. Like, what did it do new? Ratchet and Clank is on there, and it's literally been the same game for 10 games at this point. Like, don't tell me that like you have to do something new to be nominated, because that's not the case. I think it's simply because it's a racing game and there isn't a cinematic story where you're driving around trying to get money because your kid's in the hospital. And, like, if Forza had that, where there was some cinematic, like story where, like, tearjerker, it would be nominated, but it doesn't have that. It's just a good time to play.
I can't afford these rims. What I'm going to do?
Oh, man, I can't afford this Ford Bronco. My kid needs her diabetes shots or whatever. I don't know.
Well, you get something like Need for Speed on, I think it came out in 2014. I tried to tell a story, and my God, I encourage people to just give a cutscene a look. It's so cringe-inducing. Cog, I know you're chomping at the bit here. I want to dish this to you. How are we feeling? I know how you're feeling, but what are our thoughts, rather?
It sucks. It sucks. We talked about this, and let me put my disclaimers out first. Reviews are subjective, right? Reviews are subjective. What game of the year is subjective. And this is, I appreciate the Game Awards. Before I go in, I do appreciate the Game Awards. I appreciate what Keighley is trying to do. I think it is our version of the Oscars, so to speak, and you want games celebrated. So I don't want to just totally go in on the show. But there's a problem here. This is a major problem. And my issue I have is that this is genre bias. This is literally genre bias. Basically, what I've seen over the past couple of years is that if your game does not fall in a specific genre, which is funny, is kind of my hashtag just one, the third person narrative experience, over the shoulder, whatever. If your game doesn't fall into that category, more than likely, you are not getting nominated for Game of the Year. The reason why the Forza thing is so egregious is because not only is Metacritic, who shout out to them, kind of went at Jeff Keighley. I don't know if y'all saw that. But, not only is it reviewed the highest game, right? Then you have the engagement numbers that we've talked about and things like that. And it made the submission requirement, because that was another thing. Like, does it make it? And the other problem I have is, it can't get nominated for Game of the Year, but it's also in these other categories. And to me, that almost feels like a consolation prize, in my opinion. This is what I think. First of all, it's a video game. If it's a video game and the masses do gravitate towards it, then that should be considered. So maybe it starts with the player percentage vote. That's part of the entire system. Maybe that needs to improve, right? The other thing, I just got to call it out. Look, I feel, I don't have any data, but I feel a lot of people in this panel that are voting don't play racers, don't play multiplayer shooters like that, right? So there's no emotional connection. There's no investment. So if you automatically have a bias against the genres because you don't play that, because it doesn't make any sense. Why even their multiplayer, like the one that Forza we know is going to win is going to be racing / what is it, sports, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, why are those combined? So why doesn't, because you guys don't like Madden, 2K, why don't they have a sports only? You see what I'm saying? Like those games get released every year. So again, to me, it's just fundamental issues with the system. And I hope this Forza snub does raise the question. Now, I know Keeley did mention something about a player's vote award or something like that. I don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah. He said, we because people were like, yo, Forza, what's going on? This is disgusting. Right. And he was like, we hear you. We're going to do the player's vote, the player's choice, something. But to me, it just denotes a flawed system that needs to change. I thought, even though I didn't feel Overwatch was a game yet that year, I love that it did win in the sense that it represented that something outside of the genre that doesn't have that narrative story has a chance to win. And of all years, we thought this was the year. Again, not saying Forza should win. I'm just saying get nominated. It can't get nominated. It's a bad look. I got more to say. I'm going to let you go, Matty, because I can take up this whole segment. I don't want to go too crazy. But I'm just, it sucks. And I just hope it changes because everything else I do like about the Game Awards, what it represents. But this, to me, represents a fundamental problem with the voting and the panel and the system that's in place.
Yeah, I don't care about the Game Awards much outside of the announcements. That's what I watch for. But I would be lying if I said I don't think the awards matter, because they definitely do to some extent, because it's our biggest show and it's a representation of what we view our medium as. And we have to celebrate the biggest and brightest. And I do think Forza this year was one of them. Is it my personal? No. It brings to light one thing that we talked about in Defining Duke Ultimate, which is a lot of people say like IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, but it's like Josh so-and-so actually gave Forza Horizon 5 a 10 out of 10. Does that mean the collective office who is voting for all of these ballots is feeling that Forza Horizon 5 is a 10 out of 10 and that it should be on the Game of the Year list? Clearly that's not the case. But I was just looking at the jury and, again, I'll just say it how it is because I don't really care. But, like a lot of these are, to me, more irrelevant, dying or fading out outlets where they're relevant on Twitter. They're relevant in their own little bubbles. But I think as the medium progresses, all of these outlets do not do well outside of a couple I can point out. And I'm not going to name names. I just think that to me specifically is a standout on like, this is a almost popularity contest boasted by people who, to me, almost have like inflated egos. So I don't care what they have to say. I think it's just about the announcements for this, but it's disappointing. Yeah. I think, again, there had to be a real consideration. And I don't want to tell people what games they have to like, but here's the thing. Again, I know people are going to think I'm drilling this game. We can get our laughs in, but I look at something like Deathloop. Deathloop was talked about. This is the platform we're going to build games off of in the future. Like, this is a template developers are going to follow. Then where the fuck is Forza? You're telling me that's not the template that people are going to follow when they make a racing game? Of course it is. So you can't say one thing for one genre and not mean it for another. That just doesn't work that way. So again, it's short-sighted critics, we'll say, who don't care. They're in their own little bubble and no one in their bubble challenges each other. So they feel safe with whatever they say, whether it be outrageous or not. And there's no demand for consistency because anyone else outside of that bubble gets disregarded as like, hater. Oh, I'm not listening to you. It's like, I'm above you. I can't fucking stand it. So that's more me personally. But as for Forza, it's like, am I outraged? No. But do I think it got snubbed? Absolutely. And it's 2 years in a row. Last year, it made sense where like Ori got snubbed. I think it sucks. But like last year was a really good year where I can understand one missing out. This year, dude, Resident Evil 8 is literally Resident Evil 4. I implore people, as someone who played Resident Evil 4 for the first time this year, play 4 and just rearrange the parts of the castle, the island, and the village. Just switch where those parts happen, and you've got it again. It literally, the point system, it's just a first-person shooter. It's insane that, like, there's a clear comfort zone for these games as well. We talked a little bit about they like the short and sweet experiences. There are a lot of short and sweet on this list. Deathloop, Ratchet and Clank, and and Resident Evil 8. Like, there's a lot of short and sweet here. And Metroid Dread. And I liked Metroid Dread a lot. That's in my top 5, personally. But I'm just saying there's a clear thing that I had talked about a lot that's remaining consistent amongst these critics. And people got to be aware of it. Like, don't expect much from these people. I don't know how else to put it.
No, fair enough. I just want to ask both of you this in reference to, because to me, I know people are like, oh, you're just capping because it's Forza and it's Forza. To me, it's a bigger issue. To me, exactly. It's a genre issue. And it's like, it just like, let's say, for example, you're a dev and you make one of the greatest RTSs ever. You know what I'm saying? You make one of the greatest, even multiplayer in sports at one point. We're not going to act like Modern Warfare in its heyday was one of those games. Like basically what their voting system shows me is that even if you're the apex of a specific genre, you really don't have a chance unless you feel it fit into that core. Do you hear where I'm going, Rand? Or I'm curious about what Rand thinks about that part.
What was the question? Like, what
just
was
more of a genre? Let's just say you're a dev and you make the greatest, sports game that's critically acclaimed, or you make the greatest online shooter that is critically acclaimed. Like, let's say, for example, when Modern Warfare was in its heyday, I even bloviated about NFL 2K when it was in its heyday. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you make something that's outside of this third-person cinematic narrative kind of genre, like, do you understand my point? Like, that it feels like there could be a bias there, that there's really no legit shot for you to be nominated as a game of the year if you don't fit into that genre?
Yeah, of course. I mean, just look at, something like Age of Empires 4 or any of those. Like, you're never going to see a strategy game be nominated, right? And even you go back to last year, what was one of the highest rated games of last year? Half-Life Alyx, right? 93 on Metacritic. Didn't get nominated because
good point.
Not a lot of reviewers are into VR, right?
Good point.
So
You see what you just said?
They're not into
VR. A lot of reviewers are not into.
Well, it's like Matty said. You have this group of people who really don't have a lot of overall influence, but do have a lot of influence within their own circles, and they're able to vote on this. And like if you have a really great sports game, a really great racing game, a really great strategy game, or mobile game, or whatever, those people don't care. Those people are looking for that big AAA cinematic experience. And if you look at this list, that's mostly what honestly, like, does Deathloop really deliver that? I'm not really even sure if it delivers.
Matty, we are Deathloop.
Well, no, Deathloop really doesn't. I wouldn't even. Deathloop, I really liked. I liked it more than Matty, but I wouldn't necessarily say it delivers that cinematic experience like maybe Ratchet does. And even Resident Evil doesn't really deliver that because it's in first person. It's just that those games are all the big AAA marketing push like games. Like It Takes Two is probably the most unique game in that list.
Yep. I give that credit.
I want that game to win. I want It Takes Two to win because I like Joseph Ferris. I like that team there. I like how they stepped it up with this one. Actually, you know what? I'm also a big fan of Psychonauts too.
I was gonna say,
so I go with either one of those things. It's like, I don't know, like this whole thing is just like, when I can immediately discount and tell you that Forza's not going to make it because
I knew it too. Yeah, in my heart, I knew it.
I know who's voting for this. Like, there's something wrong with your process. And then they say, well, we got the player voice. It's 10%. Like, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. Now, Jez did bring up in his article, maybe there's a way you can have both the press, the fans, and the devs all vote on it and give them like an equal share, right? Because the devs have their own thing.
I just think we've seen enough years of like a huge split between, and I don't like to use Metacritic as like a de facto, this is the definitive score for everything. But we've seen enough years of a critic score of 93 and a user score of like 6.4. Like we've seen enough years of those, probably a good half decade. Ignoring it any longer is just irresponsible, I think. Like there needs to be like a player's choice award or something like that lets the fans say, because I don't think the critics play enough. That's the problem I have with the games industry. You got a ton of people who fucking bitch about playing video games for a living. God almighty, do you have it tough? I do not feel bad for anyone who's got a job in this industry. Unless you're working on the games. But as a critic, I'm sorry, but like whining it, you got to play an open world game. Dude.
Matty, are you implying that they're not doing. Some people are not doing their job, like they what they're assigned to do for their career.
Yeah.
That they're not playing all these games in these different genres.
And burnout's a real thing. If you're burnt out, take a break.
Facts.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like I've been there. You know, you don't want to play things. I get it.
Mhm.
Take a break.
I agree. Look, we got to call it what it is. I'm rolling with you on that. And I gotta shout out Colin. He's been on that train for a minute too, which is like, look, that is your job, to play these different genres, to play these different type of games and experiences. And look, some people will want to be in that position you are, and it's unfair. Look, my disappointment is these are all video games. These are all games, man. They all deserve to be reviewed and critiqued fairly. Yeah. That's all we're asking. Yeah. Is this thing the end all be all? Am I gonna pick it in the street? No. It's just disappointing, and it just goes to show you what is going on, and everyone's seeing now. And what I'm hoping is this is a touch point that now the spotlight's on them, and they may have to or forced to change the system that they have, because we want this to be the best representation of gaming that we can have. So that's all I got on it. But yeah, I had to give a pause.
We could go on. We could make a whole show about this. Let's move on, and we'll get into the news. Well, actually, we have one more question. Sorry, Simon C writes in with our last one. Hello, Dukes, gents. Where was the COD hype? This year, I was unaware it came out. No one on my friends list was playing it. No social media chat. Lots of Forza hype, but not COD. No doubt it'll be the best-selling game of this year, but will it be down? Are gamers finally getting bored of its stale formula? Can Halo Infinite come in to take its spotlight? Thoughts? Have a Halo Infinite multiplayer blue screen have a day.
That was real.
It was. Yeah, I think this is a year it's hurting. How bad is it hurting? They are doing free-to-play multiplayer this weekend for Vanguard. Whoa. So they are down bad.
Yeah, there was no hype for Vanguard this year. I think the quick turnaround really hurt them. I think going back to World War II really hurt them again, because I think there was that. I don't know. It was weird because with Call of Duty, everybody was sick of the sci-fi, like in Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, and they're like. So like Battlefield went back to the past, and they did really well with Battlefield. Which one was World War II? Was
Battlefield. World War II
Battlefield
was
1.
Battlefield 1 was World War 1, I believe. But
it did really well. And then Call of Duty went back to with World War II. Then people were sick of it when Battlefield 5 came out, although that game had other issues. Mm-hmm. And now they're back to Call of Duty. I think people are once again sick of World War. They want the modern weapons. As for how it's doing, we have the UK sales, physical and digital. It's down 40% from last year, which I think last year was already down from 2019. And maybe next year does better. They got Modern Warfare 2 coming next year, which I'm sure will do good. But I also wonder how much maybe Warzone is hurting, because you don't need to get Vanguard to play Warzone. Warzone's just this free mode that just encapsulates everything. So there might be just a segment of the audience now that it's like, we don't care about regular Call of Duty multiplayer. We don't need to spend 60 on Vanguard because we have Warzone.
I mean, I just think this is what happens when you make a series annualized for a lot of teenagers and some adults. The reason I say that is because everyone's like, I want World War this year. I want sci-fi next year. And games take a while to make, so they can't react as quickly as they need to do this, and they need the proper room to breathe. And I thought Warzone would be kind of the crack in the armor that went like, okay, like we're going to start to take like 2 years of a gap before the next one comes out. Give you time to miss it. Because I'm sorry, but if Ubisoft did that with Assassin's Creed, remember when that was annualized? You remember that? It's crazy to think now we get it every couple of years, but that was the time. There was a time those open world behemoths were annualized, and it did better the second that they went, okay, we're going to give it space. I think Call of Duty can enjoy that, because even if they did the same exact shit, which they will do, if you had time to miss it, sometimes that's the biggest factor of them all. It's just forgetting what it's like, coming back. It's like going back home. It's like, oh, COD, man.
There we go.
It's great, But the only difference with COD is it's been years and years and years and years. Like, it's a staple for generations now, where it's going to be weird when it goes, and when it comes back, it's going to be like, it's the same, and it could hurt them more. So I don't know. They're in a really tough spot. Halo putting their foot on their throat certainly doesn't help. I think Battlefield releasing next to it certainly doesn't help, because they're facing challenges this year. They'll probably disregard it as just that. But I think Halo's going to keep rolling, where even next year with expansions and stuff, where we're going to see it challenge COD again. And they have to be on watch now. They have to. There's too much good competition out there for them.
Completely agree with both of you. I think This is something to monitor. This might be the first time there is some trouble in paradise, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention everything that's going on with the Activision Blizzard building. Also affected them negatively, marketing and that. Then you couple Halo. I feel that free to play thing you said, Matty. Again, I don't have the data in front of me, but to me, it feels like that was inspired by Halo Infinite free to play dropping this week.
Yep.
That's going to do a dent to you. Then Battlefield's good. They've got to be careful. They've got to be careful. This is something to really monitor. But I agree. I think that we may, if they don't make serious changes or take maybe a break here and there, which I doubt with Activision, but we'll see. We'll see. They may
will. Time will tell. But let's get into the news. We've talked a lot with the audience.
Yes.
And now we talk about one of the big highlights. We hope your expectations were firmly in place for Xbox's 20th anniversary show. Last week on Defining Duke, we were posed the question by a member of our audience on if Halo Infinite would be inbound early, and we said that was indeed the word. Throughout the weekend, 343's big surprise was spoiled further by a plethora of insider claims, but also concrete details in the form of Xbox store data leaking with a new release date of November 15th this year, as well as 343's Infinite servers being turned on. On Xbox's 20th anniversary, it was confirmed that Halo Infinite's free-to-play multiplayer component is available to download and play right now for everyone listening across Xbox and PC. We have a write-in from Jerry B that says, "Hey, Grandmaster Dukes, the gaming gods have blessed us with a Halo multiplayer ninja drop. I hope that you're all having a great time with it. I have been playing for a couple of hours, and it's been great so far. The one thing that I'm not fond of is the progression system. You slowly progress through the challenges within the battle pass, but then you realize that they're trying to sell you XP boosts. What are your thoughts on the progression system? Do you think they'll take an update as time goes on? I think it'd be great to have a main progression system separate from the battle pass. Take care, fellas." So 343 has already said they're looking into this. Brian Gerard had posted on his Twitter account that they're already looking into this. They said even during the flight test that in future seasons, by the way, is when they plan on doing that. You know, when this season ends is May 2022, so I'm hoping it doesn't take that long. But gents, let's get really deep into Halo now. We can finally talk about it.
Let's get it.
How are we feeling about the progression system? Let's get the bad out of the way here.
The progression system. The progression system, I'm not going to mince words here, is awful. It is truly awful. Okay, I am somebody who does not care about Battle Pass. I didn't buy the Battle Pass. I don't care about the Battle Pass. But when I'm playing with my friends, they're all complaining about it, right? And when we're playing a capture the flag map and we're doing objectives, nobody's really playing the objectives because you don't get any progression. Like the idea here, guys, that I could get 50 kills, get 5 overkills, get 4 triple kills, capture the flag 2 times, get like 5,000 XP at the end of the match, but then actually not get any XP because I didn't kill and destroy 2 warthogs to get progression is absolutely ludicrous. Like it might as well be like I didn't even play that game. Like, so as someone who doesn't care about the battle pass, and Cog knows this, I don't care about cosmetics. I don't buy battle passes. I played Warzone for 200 hours, didn't spend a dime. I played Apex Legends, didn't spend a dime. Played PUBG for 900 hours, didn't spend a dime.
Rand Al cheap.
Well, it's not that I'm cheap. It's not that I'm cheap. I just don't care.
Scam artist.
Yes, he is.
No, I am not cheap. I'm not cheap. It's just that
he's a rich YouTuber, but cheap.
It's just that I don't care what my gun looks like. I don't care what my character looks like. When I play Mass Effect, I'm default Shepard. I don't care, right? Like I just want to play. So the fact that I'm not getting progression on that because I don't care about the battle pass, but then there's not some overall level that I'm also working towards.
Yeah, you're just playing.
They give you all this XP at the end, but it doesn't count for anything. Like, what is it even tallying it up for? Like, I get 100 points for kill or whatever, but what is it? 100 points to what?
Put that together. They do give you points for kills, and it's like, what are these points going to?
What are the points doing? And like, the thing is, they were told about this in the flights. Hey, man, these challenges, they're not really working well. And they're like, oh, look at like, they knew about this. But then one of the worst things about this, though, is that it changes player behavior.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys know I'm a big achievement guy, right? Used to be a big achievement guy. And I used to hate multiplayer games that would make you do specific things in the heat of a multiplayer match instead of just winning, right?
Yes.
Win this, play these many games, play these modes. They'd always have some ridiculous like, wow, 15 feet in the air with the Warthog, get a kill on the chain gun, right?
On Thursday.
So it made you actually play the game differently than you normally would. And that's what these challenges are doing. People are going out of their way, be like, I need to use this weapon to kill these many people or blow up this stuff. So they're not playing like they should be playing because of these stupid challenges that they have towards the battle pass. It is broken. It is abysmal. It needs to be changed fast because I think people are going to drop the game because of it once you reach the further progressions. And yeah, it is something that needs to be changed ASAP.
I agree. Yeah, it's as someone who did pay for the battle pass, I paid for the premium to get the extra challenge. I was thinking maybe I would get through things a little bit quicker. I also am not really a big battle pass guy either. The only battle pass I ever bought was for Smite, and I pulled the Rand Al cheap. I put like 500 hours in before buying it. So but in all seriousness, I wanted to support this because I really liked Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I believed in it. And I was like, you know what? I know I'm going to be on this a lot. I'm going to buy the battle pass. I'm going to get those ranks. And then you realize that if you're playing for free, like I caught a couple of buddies who haven't bought the battle pass yet.
Let's go.
And now they're not going to. And it's not until like level, I think 30 or something like that, you're getting a new helmet, or I think like 80. Like everyone's characters, the reality is everyone's characters are going to look the same. Like they built a battle pass that would probably work next year when we have a couple more seasons under our belts and we got a couple of places to pull from. But right now, everyone looks the same and everyone's doing wild shit to try to complete challenges because everyone's thirsty to level up. It's destabilizing the game a little bit. Of course, it's an absolute blast. It feels like a masterclass in first-person shooting. I love playing this game.
Oh my God.
I could say I easily sank 10 hours into this. And it's one of the few games that while I'm working, I'm like, I cannot wait to get home and play. Like, we got those games every year, but like this is a staying power, like day on days. I'm like, I can't wait to get home, sign on with the boys, and play some big team battle. But it's the fact that like I got one, man, that I got to get a kill with like a chain gun. So I got to find a turret, rip it off, and run around the map and get 10 kills. 10 kills. So jeez. I'm sorry, but like that's not my go-to weapon on the map. I'm looking for the skewer, right? I'm looking for the bulldog. Like I'm looking for weapons like that. I'm not looking for the turret to tear off, which barely respawns.
Yes.
And then mowed people down with it. It just boggles my mind. It really does, because if this was supplemental, like I had said, that'd be fine. I remember when I said red flag for Halo Infinite multiplayer.
You did.
I told Gunk, I was like, outlets came from me. People talk shit about me. Fuck that. Now you know what happened. Now we have the biggest problem in the game right now that's actually hurting it quite a bit. I was like, this is not good. Like they need match XP. It's not good enough that it's just fun, because people truly believe it. I know this isn't true, but people truly believe you can find fun anywhere. And it's like, I don't know, not Halo Infinite levels of fun. So they just need to work on that progression. I think there's not to ramble too much here, I think there's a fair point that the long-term progression is pretty good, because the season lasts a while. You get to earn it. You actually have to play it. You don't just complete the pass and drop it in a month. But this is a game it's weird, because they're not about FOMO in respecting your time, that this battle pass will always be available. But they're also not respecting your time by making you really work for it.
Bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so funny. I actually love this one too. Oh, look, it's egregious. I can't even. Listen, I am a battle pass guy. I am a dude that let's be honest. Cog is a guy that might blow his whole check on cosmetics.
No.
Like Cog, listen, full disclosure, that's my weakness. Destiny, though, that's my weakness. But here's the thing: what makes this so bad?
Oh no,
they got me. But here's the thing: what makes it so bad. Look, it's Cog's birthday. It's November 15th. It's Halo. I'm gonna go treat myself. I'm gonna go into this shop and see. So I'm looking at the suits, Red. I'm like, oh, this looks clean. I'm like, I see the price. I'm like, God damn, this was $20 almost. Like, what out? God damn. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this because it's my birthday. But all right, so then here's the part.
You already spent $20 on Halo Infinite.
Already spent 20.
Oh, no.
It's my birthday.
You know, there are some people out there, according to True Achievements, who have completed the Battle Pass already.
Oh, you could straight buy
level. You can straight. Yeah, it's like $200 if you want to just completely buy every level.
You can King David this game. You can literally buy every single level you want when you want. I don't know. I'm just assuming he's going to when he finds this out. So here's the thing. My main issue why this is so egregious, again, for the people who do not buy the battle pass and just say, hey, I'm just going to do the Rand Al cheap. I'm just going to play regular. Not going to do nothing. Right? You know what's so bad, Rand? When you look at the Spartan outfits for the default player, it's a dusty, worn out, Walmart looking Spartans. And then when you look at the paid joints, the team esports, the HCS, the most vibrant. I feel like my outfit got ray tracing on it.
Yeah.
That's how good it looked better. The paid stuff looks so much better. Like it's, bro, you can't even get a solid, vibrant color in the free track.
What do you always say? You free 99 users or whatever. Like you know, Cog's been on this thing for you don't even supporting me at $5. We had a bet recently, and I lost the bet, and I'm subscribed to the Patreon. But well, yeah, you would expect the paid stuff to look better than the free stuff, right? I mean, it would be weird if it was the opposite way, right?
Right. I get that, but this is so egregious because even Destiny has earnable stuff in game or stuff that's default that just looks more like, you gotta understand, like, do y'all realize how bad the paint and dull it is on your Spartan when you just have and it's not even a lot of options. It's really limited, and that's the first part, and it sucks because the game is so fun. The second thing they have is what Destiny had to learn is what you guys are talking about with the challenges, right? And the bounty and the progression. And the worst thing you can do is say, go not do the objective and get 5 to 10 random kills with this weapon. So now you're not even playing within the confines of the team. Now, the only thing they try to subvert this is with this swap thing, where it's like, okay, well, if I don't want to do that, I can swap it out. Right. But then when you swap it, it's also random what's swapped in. So you don't get control of that next challenge. And here's the other thing, to Matty's point. Let's say they want you to do this, capture the flag or something really obscure. Why is the XP the same? Like, I feel there should be differentiated for some really harder to do tasks. Like, if you're talking about getting the chain gun and doing all this stuff, right? That should be, there's certain things, the level of difficulty is not matching the experience gain. And that's my main thing. And I got news for y'all, because this ain't my first rodeo with these type of games.
Yeah.
I don't see them changing this until season 2. They gonna get this money. They gonna milk, because I feel the boardroom knows this is free to play and this is their only way to start getting that money back and to really start putting their tendrils in on this monetization. And sadly, Bungie used to do this because we'd be like, yo, bro, this is a bad look. Even with Trans, this is a horrible look. You guys got to change this. You're gouging. Other games do it better. And they go, oh, yeah, we're listening. Season 2, y'all. Season 2. Cool. Yeah, we're listening. We got you. And then you're gonna get that's my prediction on this. But yeah, it's very egregious. It's very bad. There's no sugar.
I would argue at this point in time, I would have rather paid for it to just get rid of that system entirely. I know not everyone's going to agree with that. I think there was a strong thing for Xbox in free to play. I don't think it's been strong for the consumer though, in a lot of ways.
Shout out to me buying a $200 Elite controller, and I get a special little pin in my Elite controller on my gun that bounces. It looks all hot and ray tracing. Too bad the free guys don't get none of that. Yeah. I paid $200 to get that.
I will say though that, like, this is the only negative that the game has.
Yeah, that's it.
Really, it's like, when you think about the rest of the game, it's like, it's the servers are working great. The game, it feels like, I don't know, especially when you compare it to like Battlefield or Vanguard or any other multiplayer releases, it feels like, wow, they completely nailed it. In other ways, games have all these other problems. So it's like Halo Infinite is so good. It's so much fun to play. Yes. And it just has this glaring problem that people have been talking about since the flights, and they didn't fix it. And it just is kind of the one black spot on otherwise flawless multiplayer pack. Although I guess you could maybe say, where's my separate playlist where it's like, I want to play some of the King of the Hills, the oddballs. Why can't I just play a Slayer game? Stuff like that, right?
Plays back into the battle pass, sadly. Because, for example, I was streaming last night. I streamed for 3 hours of Halo Infinite. I needed, look at my finger, 1. I needed one stronghold match to get 250 XP. The whole time, I don't even think I got one on that stream.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, that's the problem.
It was tied to a match type, too?
Mm-hmm.
It was tied to a match type. And that's the issue, is I don't mind those challenges. I think it's good. But if I can't even pick what I'm going to play to complete that challenge and cycle in the new one, and again, it respects my time by letting me take my time to get everything, but it is not respecting my time in how I can accomplish it. I don't even mind the challenge system as much if I have ways I can tackle it. That, like, the consumables. Tying challenge swaps to the battle pass that barely progresses is such a kick in the balls. It really is. It's like, oh man, I got this one here where I have to get a kill with a turret, and then I got to get 10 kills with a turret. Sure, I could double up, but you know what? How about I keep the one kill and cycle in something that I could probably accomplish a little bit easier, or is more fun, or more accessible, not just hunkering down in the Warthog turret for like 5 games in a row. You know, maybe I could do something a little bit different. That'd be sick. And
you know, it says something that in the battle pass, there's 40 challenge swaps. 40.
That lets you know.
There was like a breakdown of all the things you get, and it was like like couple helmets, couple visors, couple shoulder pads. It was 40 challenge swaps. It was like that. Just they knew this was going to be a problem.
Yeah, they knew it.
They knew it was.
They knew it. And to Rand, to your point, I know we're going on. It's just that it's a shame because this is some of the best multiplayer I have played. This is the most fun. It is so back right now. Like, Halo multiplayer is so back. Like, and this is this is why it stands out so much more, because we're living in it, we're loving it, and it's like, come on, guys. You guys got to do better with that. That's just a bad look.
Yeah, I'm with you. We can definitely talk about some of the good stuff now, because it really is the only glaring flaw, and it does tie into a couple of things. But last night I was playing Big Team Battle with the boys, and it was just this awesome moment of, I had a Warthog, Buddy was in the turret, another Warthog got dropped by a Pelican, so my another friend dropped in with another friend of mine in the turret of that one, and we just had this like dual rush to the flag. And we pull through. There's like 6 guys spawning, like running down the street. We're lighting them up. My friend bails out. He goes up, gets the flag. I drive up into this structure, pick him up in the passenger seat, and we just zip out on the other end. And it was this fluid teamwork, and that kind of only in Halo moment. It's such a fun game. It really is such a fun game. And that's what makes some of the things a little bit more frustrating. But that aside, it's not going to stop me from playing. And I think they know that. That's kind of why you might be right about them not fixing it right away. But it is such a excellent time. What have you guys enjoyed most about it?
Rand, what you feeling? Talk to us, man.
I mean, I don't know. Have all your buddies on a game that they all agree they want to play. Because always be someone like, I don't like Warzone, so I'm not playing. I don't like Apex. I don't like this or that. But like, everybody's there for Halo. And it's kind of like Matty said, like, you get those big team battle things, and everybody just kind of goes off together and just like plays together. Like, it's such an incredible experience that I don't really have that much anymore. For those multiplayer games. So for me, it's like the whole crew's there. It's been a while since the whole crew has wanted to play the game, but the whole crew is there for Halo. So I think it's that. I think most of the maps are really good. God, the equipment and the grapple hook and all that, so fun to use.
Yeah.
So creative. Like, it's really multiplayer is about friends.
Yeah.
I don't like playing solo, so like I won't play if nobody's around, but like everybody's on there. Everybody wants to play. So for me, it's about that.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. It's the multiplayer is just top notch. I think for me, also the gunplay, it's one of the rare games that pretty much every weapon I found some type of utility for and have been successful. There's some weapons I'm learning how to use correctly and having a lot of fun with that.
Right.
You know, Matty, I know we had the whole boot debate thing, boost debate, equipment thing, bro.
It's there on Streets. I saw it.
Yeah, Streets. I'm running around. I'm boosting like Halo 5, and I'm like, bro, it really.
The fact that it's a pickup and not like innately building your character, I like that. So I concede.
Yeah, okay, my man.
I've been the need.
I appreciate you, brother, because it's so good that I didn't know if they was going to do it.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I missed from 5, but the grapple hook changes the game. The only thing I got to work on is the repulse. I really don't know how to use it correctly. I got to get better at it. I kind of suck. But everything else, man, it just feels so good. And like Rand said, there's something to be said. I had like 12 people to 13 people in my party chat cycling in and out, and I'm looking at my Xbox Live friend list, and everybody is playing. It is universally critically acclaimed as that experience for multiplayer. And I think I gotta shout out PG. He even said, he's like, no other game. He's doing it on PC. That's another thing. I'm doing cross play with guys on PC, Steam.
Yeah, that's the great part about it.
Platforms.
Easy.
My man, Death Singer's in. Like, it is such a unifying experience. Right? No game has the zeitgeist that has that effect. And it just goes to show you when Halo is good, it changes the needle. It literally breaks the internet in a way. And I think this goes to the part of why they did it. They're like, yo, we got to get, while the iron's hot, get everybody in Game Pass, get everybody in the Xbox ecosystem. Then you're probably going to spend more money on that Battle Pass.
Yeah. They got me.
They got me, bro. It is truly amazing. Love the game.
Yeah, the guns feel good. The maps are pretty solid. I didn't like Aquarium. That was one I discovered. I do not like that map at all. But out of the 10 maps that they have, one of them not clicking is a really good ratio to have because it's usually a lot worse. So
no doubt.
Across the board, been really appreciating it. Have you guys tried Ranked Arena at all?
Yes, I've been doing it.
Yeah. I have not played that yet. No.
I have. I have. I got some comments on that. Fun. The what you call it is on. You have to be cognizant that sometimes people have their voice on, whatever. So I had one of these kind of bossy kind of dudes like, "What the hell are you guys do?" I'm like, "Bro, if you don't shut up." So it was that, but I did like the option to search controller only in solos. Yeah. I thought that was a big. Now match times did take longer for me to get in the match when I did that, as opposed to crossplay and everybody. But yeah, and the only negative I would say is that it's still randomized with the match type that happens. Yeah. So I want them to bring back, if not like the voting system, so that let's say you don't keep getting oddball or some match you don't like.
Oddball, holy shit! You just brought it up. Oh my god! I was all smiles, but
take it away,
man. When they give me oddball, I feel something really cruel inside. I hate oddball so much. Like it's a non-choice for me every time I play Halo. And they made it a mode that you have to play. You can't avoid it. You just get thrown in there like oddball. No,
drop the ball.
Yeah, it's literally campers the game because what happens is you pick a corner of the map. Some dude just holds the ball, and your whole team just posts up on all entrances and just win your gunfights. It's so boring. It really is. And it's not like capture the flag is such a superstar. It's like the only mode. I'm sorry. It's the only capture the flag in a shooter I like is in Halo. Ooh. But this one in particular, big team battle, capture the flag, even one flag, one flag's great. I just, all the other modes are so vastly superior. Strongholds is great. You get that kind of domination feel. I really love that. In like the 4v4, it plays a little bit different versus what you see in big team battle. Big team battle, it's like you capture the strongholds. Once you hold all three, they move. So like the map's constantly shifting. Whereas in 4v4, it's like racking up the points like domination. So it's a little dynamic there. I love that shit. Like these modes are so good. Just if I could uncheck one of them. Oh man, that'd be great.
What about stockpiling the drugs mode?
Wait, which one was that? The power seeds.
Yeah, power seeds are on the map, and you got to pick them up and bring them back.
Weird mode, not bad mode. Weird. Like I don't know if you guys agree, but it's just they randomly drop this cluster
of them. Yeah,
everyone goes to them, and I'll just see like the icons. I think they drop like 6 at a time. You just see everyone running opposite ways. And then it's this grudge match to go into their base, and it takes an hour to extract it.
To pull it out.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, this isn't balanced, and like I need to be able to take that shit and run. Or at least hold it for 2 seconds. Like, it's too long. Not a bad mode, but definitely weird.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who's playing that with us, and we would do it like runs, like we'd bring a warhog in, and 2 people get in. It was just weird. I like it. It just needs some little tweaking. It needs tweaking for sure.
For sure. Any more thoughts on Halo multiplayer? We're just having a good time.
Good.
They just need to fix the progression.
Yep.
I mean, Matty, do you think they're going to give you an overall level? Because like as someone for me, I don't care about the battle pass. And you're right. I know there's the question of like, well, it should just be fun. Being fun should just be enough. But like, it's 2021. People like filling up bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like less of what's needed right now is that separate level that's just a level and fixing the progression in the game itself. Like the core progression is that battle pass, right? Like being able to unlock stuff. Whether it be free or not. I'm not even arguing like free players should get better rewards. Like I totally understand the compelling reason of pay $10 for a pass that lasts you up until May in this case, and you'll get all the rewards a little bit quicker and you'll get more exciting stuff. I'm honestly okay with that, but I just think they need to provide more, whether that match XP counts towards the battle pass, because a lot of things about the battle pass are good. Beyond like its time frame, I think having the same amount of XP required for every level is also really good. Like I think not making it where once I'm level 20 in the battle pass, it's suddenly 2,000 XP needed. Like it's always 1,000 every level. So will it require fine tuning of, say, instead of getting 50 points a kill, maybe you get 5 now because those points will add up and count towards your battle pass. Like, is that what they needed to do?
Well, I feel like just the XP you earned during the match should count because, like I said, I put 200 hours into Warzone, and I'm not the best Call of Duty player, but when we were going hard, I completed a battle pass.
Right.
And it was just because I was just playing. I was just getting rewarded for the things I was doing in Warzone, and I feel like that's missing in this one. But maybe they kind of knew that, and they're like, listen, this one's going to be a longer. We don't want people to like basically no life the game and complete the battle pass in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't want that either. There's a delicate balance. I think they just need to give you something that's happening every match, right? Like a little something. And I'm not talking like the practice makes perfection thing that they keep gradually increasing, where they give you 100 at first, then eventually they say 1 out of 2, then 1 out of 3, then 1 out of 4, and it's like, really, guys? Like now, even just playing the game, like you're not going to just give me XP for playing the game. It's like every 4 games you'll give me 100 XP now. Once I go deep, it's like they're telling you not to play. So it's just they just need to work that out a little bit more.
Yeah. The only part I want to say, I agree completely. What Rand said earlier, I really resonated. Like, let's be honest, there's guys that are going to be beasts, the Chris Ray Guns, whoever. And it's like, you want to reward guys like if they're doing running riots and they're really dominating, they should have the advantage of progressing through the battle pass a little faster, in my opinion, because they're that skilled. It shouldn't just about be matches and stuff like that. So some type of multiplier, something to really increase actually kills and objective passively in the game to be part of it. That's my only thing.
Agreed. Let's move on to number 2 in our news write-up. Continuing the 20th anniversary celebrations, Xbox confirmed 76 brand new games added to the backwards compatible catalog. This represents the first dump of games since 2019, and it comes with FPS boost for popular Xbox 360 games, such as Dead Space 2, Dragon Age Origins, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. The total comes out to 26 brand new Xbox 360 games receiving FPS boost. Over 20 of the 76 total additions come in the form of original Xbox games, such as Dead or Alive 3, the entire Max Payne series, and even Otogi. Unfortunately, this news arrives as a double-edged sword. Beyond these 76 additions, Xbox has confirmed the backwards compatible operation is fully shut down now. Quote, while we continue to stay focused on preserving and enhancing the art form of games, we have reached the limit of our ability to bring new games to the catalog from the past due to licensing, legal, and technical constraints. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. One sec, gentlemen. Please continue.
Yeah, I got you. So, I mean, this is a big one. Obviously, the news came out, Rand, with all the back-to-back games, and then obviously the news about the stopping of the program, so to speak, right? So, what's your thoughts on first the game announcements? Did you get a chance to play any, or did you look at anything? And then also that this could be it. No more back-to-back games will be added moving forward.
Look at Matty over there setting up the memorial for
I love
Jet Set Radio Future.
I'm trying to commemorate the fall.
What is that? Wolfenstein 2? I can't.
I know he's got Jet Set Radio Future. He definitely got Jet. I don't know what the second one is, but yeah, he's putting it together. We're going, light a candle.
It's Wolfenstein 2009. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we got to pour out a little liquor for Jet Set Radio.
I mean, it was a cool announcement. Like, what other way to better celebrate 20 years than legacy titles, right? Really cool to see Max Payne series join. The FPS boosts are all super interesting.
I can't with Matty right now. He paid his respects to the homie. Oh, man. He's paying his respects to the homie. I love it. I'm sorry, man. That was classic, Matty. Classic. Look, man, he's going to live forever. He's going to live forever in our hearts.
Death Row, Jet Set Radio Future. I burnt my thumb for that. Because the lighter was too short. I bought this at a gas station before this. I was like, this will be funny as I set my thumb on fire. As you can tell, I don't smoke. Man. Sorry, Rand. Continue.
You're good, well, yeah, I mean, it's... I think basically Xbox did the best that they could possibly do with back compat, right? Mm-hmm. Like, nobody expected them to do it, period. And then that was the big announcement in 2015. And they've gone well out of their way to add so many games as they possibly could. So I'm not surprised that this is the end of the road. Mm-hmm. Like they mentioned, too many legal or licensing issues. I would imagine Jet Set Radio Future has a ton of licensing issues regarding music that they probably just couldn't work through.
Poor Matty.
But, Matty, you got to get in here. Come on.
Yeah, we got to get
Let's hear the eulogy for these games, man.
Pull it out.
Look, I'm a little emotional.
Let's go.
But here's the thing. I think this is a mistake. If there's a way they can keep going, I think they should try to figure it out. The reason I say that is right now, they're in a very unique position. Is this the number one way to sell your consoles, pleasing losers like me? No. Okay. But I think there's a bonus there. And the reason I say that is you look at Nintendo and PlayStation having quite next to zero back compat support. If we want to talk about PS4 and PS5, sure. Like, I guess there's back compat, but I'm talking PS3, I'm talking legacy there, and making these games play better, which it doesn't seem like they're abandoning. Nintendo is selling people the ports of their old games for full price, right? We're talking like Super Mario All-Stars or 3D All-Stars, Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword HD. They're selling them. Xbox to me is very appealing because I could one day get these and they're not going to charge me so much money. You look at Aspire, right? I love Aspire. They're doing great jobs with those ports, but they're selling KOTOR for like $20 or $15 on the Nintendo shop because you can play it on the Switch, while Xbox isn't supporting that. They're like, we got back compat. So you can just throw the disc in. You can throw in your OG disc and boom, it's good to go. Or you can download off the storefront if you want. So to me, I get it. I understand they probably are at the end of their rope on what they can do. But I feel like if there was a single stone they could continue to unturn for this, they should have continued.
Gotcha.
Of course, yeah, I'm joking about the emotional part, but I do think it would have been smart if they could continue it in some way, shape, or form. They should.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. Selfishly as a gamer, of course, I want them to continue. And to your point, the part that sucks is that it's their apparent strength over the competition. Yes. Right? This is the thing that they do that no one else is doing, and they've done it well. And we've seen it since 2015. Again, shout out to legendary Bill Stillwell and those guys who kind of pioneered it, and then Jason Ronald and the team just continue to take it to the next level. I'm with Rando. In the back of my mind, I knew it would stop because as much as I don't want it, I look at that team and I look at how agile they possibly could be. From my understanding, they're pretty small, and there's other initiatives, and as much as I don't want to hear it, I don't like it. I had a feeling it was going to go through. We talked ad nauseum about the legal ramifications, the licensing ramifications, the publisher not giving permission on certain things if they want to do a remake, because we know damn well Dead Space 1 is supposed to be on there.
Oh, they got it on cloud, though. Don't worry. They got it on cloud.
Oh, it's on cloud.
Yeah. Couldn't figure out PS Plus, but we found out how to make it work on phones and tablets.
I feel the salt. I feel that, brother. I feel that was heartfelt.
Yeah.
Like I hear you. It's just one of those things where, I do want to give them credit where credit is due.
Absolutely.
In all that got announced, the FPS boost, the huge. Listen, I'm biased. I know you didn't get what you want, but I got my 50 cent. So I'm a little biased.
Congrats.
I'm a little biased.
I'm happy for you.
I spoke it into existence. I didn't think it would happen because of music and licensing. It is digital. It is disc only, not digital. You can't get it from the storefront. But if you have the disc, shout out to eBay and everybody charging $70. Y'all know what y'all doing. But look. It sucks that it goes away, but I think it was. I kind of back of my mind like they're probably not going to do this. It's going to stop.
I was under the impression when I first saw this that they were going to do more because it felt like they figured something out, right? We were talking about 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, and I was like, dude, them getting that back compat, it's like, okay, they're just saying, well, we're not going to sell it to you, but if you have the disc, you can put it in and play it. To me, that sounds like a way to circumvent this whole legality of all of this.
Yeah,
technical is a whole different story, but the legality of some games, I'm sorry, but I have to imagine 50 Cent Blood in the Sand is like their top of the mountain, their apex. Like, this is the moment for them. They got that game back with G-Unit albums in there. 50 Cent, like
fully licensed album.
Fully licensed. They figured something out with that, which was effectively like, we're not going to sell it. And I don't think they were making much money on this anyway, which probably explains why they're going to FPS boost. You and I talked about this, Cog, on the idea that that's the more sellable idea, is like these very recent games on Xbox One, you can just throw in and they're running at 60 FPS. You see something like Prey get a new lease on life because of it. There's an impact there that I think is more valuable to Xbox, but it felt like they had finally figured something out. You saw Chicken Little get put in there, like these Disney games.
Random.
Yeah, just like games that were being preserved that made no sense, that it's like, okay, there's more, right? Seems not.
No, right. I'll give y'all exclusive today. I'm gonna bring this up. The hopefully, if everything goes on, supposed to have Jason Ronald back and on ILP, and hopefully we get him on Duke as well. Yeah. But I definitely want to ask him this. This is something I have to ask because I want to know, what's the thought process, especially with what you said with the disc version, right? Having the disc and at least allowing that to be playable as opposed to maybe putting it back up on a digital storefront. And how does that work from a legal standpoint? How are you able to do a thing like a 50 Cent Blood in the Sand? Like, I need to get these answers. So look out for that. Hopefully if it goes through. So
absolutely. But otherwise, some really noteworthy additions here for back compat. Of course, again, the Max Payne series is there. We got FPS boost to 360 games. Gents, how are we feeling about this? Does this reignite our passion for 360 games, knowing that they said that they're done adding new games, but they said they're staying focused on preserving and enhancing the art form of games, which means probably more 360 games are going to get FPS boosts. Are there any titles that come to mind for you? But what do you...
Before I got to get this off, and I'll give it to you, Rand. I threw Oblivion on. Bro, at 60, it was 60. So good. I was thinking about replaying it, and then I looked at my achievement, and I'm such a fanboy at 1250. I'm like, damn, there's no real reason for me to go. I thought maybe I missed one.
It's actually an easy 1,000 gamer score. It really is. There's so much more to see once you get it, too. That's the thing.
Bro, and I got all the DLC. Look, that game looked beautiful. And I'm like, man, it played smooth. I'm like, yo, I could actually play this right now. But continue. I want to give it to Randy.
I was going to say, for me, the highlight was a game that didn't get FPS boost.
Which one?
Dead Space 1. Because 2 and 3 got it.
We talked about it.
And you're sitting there like, wait a minute. Why isn't Dead Space 1 getting that at 60 FPS boost? And you think to yourself, oh yeah, that's right, because they're selling you the remake at 60 FPS in a couple years.
Exactly.
And I thought that was just like, oh, okay, now you see the business thing, and
that's the business.
Like,
I think that's what it is.
We're not going to sell you the 60 FPS boost. Like, no, I mean FPS boost is super cool for the 360 games. I actually haven't played a 360 game since the 360. I'm not someone that goes into back compat. So I know, it's big for other people, but not for me personally. Yeah. It's just, to see Matty's memorial there, I'm just sad right now, man. Like Jet Set Radio, so many people wanted that. And like, do you see how many Sega games were back compat?
Yeah,
Sonic Generation,
that Sonic hitting.
Like you kind of felt like maybe there was a chance.
You think also one that's missing, that this is obscure as shit, and I know probably me and 2 other people care.
You and 2 other people.
Alpha Protocol. That's a Sega published game, Obsidian developed, not back compat. And I was like, this is the time. It didn't. They didn't get at it, man. So that's stuck on the 360. I understand why. It's not that good, but for some. But I just little Obsidian RPG that never could. And I was kind of surprised with Chicken Little making the cut, that there's something there. I think for a lot of these, they got to be on a technical level too, because some of them legally, like, okay, we've got Obsidian in house. We're working very closely with Sega. Sega brought back Otogi. So it has to be technical for something like Jet Set, in my eyes, or
Yeah.
or something like Alpha Protocol, or maybe a lack
You
of
think it's
desire.
technical? You think it's technical for Jet Set, not just licensing issues?
Well, I don't know. I guess I always apply licensing to something like 50 Cent, right? Like these sellable soundtracks where, and like other artists involved, where this was a Sega game that was composed by, I think his name is Hideki Naganuma, and I feel
Look
like
at that
that's
knowledge. Look at that
I know,
knowledge.
look at He's amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing young beast.
I got his name completely wrong. You guys are just gassing me up for like calling out someone else. I'm gonna double check, but I think to me personally, that would be an easy hurdle to cross. I think there's always like a technical or legal boundary to cross, but I feel it would be less difficult than, say, again, 50 Cent Blood in the Sand. And if we can't get it on download, get the disc.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
Right.
That, I feel that should be the compromise. I'm with you on that. I don't understand why that can't happen for all of them if you're not going to make them
the way that they're doing
available.
quietly here, to me, seems like they're trying to almost put it down. Like, we're done.
does.
And they're like, there was no statements. You know, I, for example, didn't see like Jason Ronald mention anything about it. I could have missed it, but like I didn't see anyone of note within the Xbox family talk about it. Just they were more so talking about we've added things, but they didn't talk about shutting it down afterwards.
Yeah. And then the last point, so all you guys' points, I do think resources does play a factor on where they want to direct their attention. And it's unfortunate because it's something, like I said, it's a great thing. It's great fan service to continue to do.
Yeah.
Well, Cog, what do you think the team's going to be doing next if they're not focused on the back and pad stuff?
Funny you say that. If you've been looking at the blog posts and I can't get mad at it, and I've been on their head, PC, Windows 10. Like, that is a huge pillar of what they're trying to do with this big ecosystem. So if you notice, just recently we had the back compat news, but they just put out this huge post about PC performance, the ports, moving to Windows 11, all the constraints of the UWP. And if they want Game Pass to be taken seriously on PC, they have to fix it because it's not at its greatest.
It's still telling me I need to update my credit card, and I did that half a year ago. It's still like they're just weird bugs with it. Sorry,
weird bugs. No, you're right. Weird bugs, weird issues. You know, some of my PC guys were talking about Forza or something, or some crashes or something they were experiencing. You know, it's still an issue. So they've got to get that straightened out, especially if Game Pass is to blow it. I think what's happened is just a hierarchy of a big bulletin board in the background, right? Yeah. And sadly, back compat each year has probably went down further down the list until this year, where it's just like, okay, all resources are going to go there. So I get it. It just sucks that back compat is going to get, sacrificed in the end.
Yeah. And again, it's a worthy crusade for them to go on here with Game Pass. It's the big thing. I think FPS boost, like that's a big thing. So I think it's smart that they're going to take this path. It's just unfortunate because I think the reason people liked back compat, even if they didn't participate in it, is knowing that if you did go back, they weren't going to charge you for it. Yes. I think there's extreme value there. And that's what Xbox has always been about. It's why I think they're doing better in PlayStation this generation. Is PlayStation definitely has more exclusives, and those exclusives I think have been good. But Xbox has saved me money. And I'm sorry, but as a customer, and they've saved me money in good ways. And as a customer, that means a lot. Like that speaks to me more. So I just wanted them to continue doing that. But then again, I bought an R2-D2 Xbox 360 this year, so I ain't complaining too much because I get to put some reps in on it now and know that it ain't going into the shelves. So
there you go.
That's good. Any thoughts on back compat before we move on?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm done.
It's done.
This very you gotta love him. You gotta love him.
It's done.
Forward out to the homie.
Yeah. Number 3, to the surprise of no one, Xbox has confirmed the exclusivity of Elder Scrolls 6 about 18 years before its release. With the deals still playing out between Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, perhaps lingering questions do remain for some. The confirmation arrives via an interview with Phil Spencer over at GQ. Quote, "It's not about punishing any other platform. Like, I fundamentally believe all of the platforms can continue to grow. But in order to be on Xbox, I want us to be able to bring the full, complete package of what we have. And that would be true when I think about Elder Scrolls 6. That would be true when I think about any of our franchises." So we have Genesis Point as our first write-in for this. "Hey, Dukes, well, Microsoft's really bared its teeth with the new Elder Scrolls being exclusive to Xbox and PC. I didn't think they had the guts considering they have been playing nice this whole time. Do you think the ruthless slugger mentality has always been there, or do they want to wait till their punches had weight? Sorry, I misread that completely.
You're good.
All right, gents. How are we feeling about this? I mean, is this a surprise? Rand, I want to dish it to you because I feel like you're quietly steaming there behind the mic.
What was the question again? Read it to me.
It was just about how do we think that Xbox has had this ruthless slugger mentality that's always been there, or do they wait till they had punches to deliver before they said, for example, like, oh, we're going to do Elder Scrolls 6 as an exclusive?
Did this exclusive thing again rearing its ugly head? Look, I know they need to reiterate it because not everybody realizes that something as big as Elder Scrolls is going to be exclusive, but like, I thought we were over this conversation. In fact, I remember you made a video about this, Matty. Wasn't it something like titled like
the denial's bad? Yeah,
the denial's really bad. Like, we're past this point, and it keeps on being brought up, and it's just people need to accept it at this point. Bethesda games.
Sorry, go on. Sorry,
I was just saying the Bethesda games are going to be exclusive. Like, you just need to accept it. IGN and all these companies, like, they just need it. Don't bring it up anymore. Because I'm sick of hearing about it. Yeah. Because we were over this the conversation is over with. Like, everybody knows that the games are exclusive. So when I see an article like Phil Spencer reconfirms Elder Scrolls 6, I'm just like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Like,
why is that, Rand? Why do you think people need another confirmation on it? Why?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's because of the outlets. I'm going to read you a little snippet of PC Gamer.
Go for it.
Quote, it makes a lot of business sense, but it's still an exquisitely brutal move by Xbox, end quote. Dude.
Exquisitely brutal?
Yeah, yes, exquisitely brutal. And mind you, it's one outlet I'm isolating, but I saw it and I'm like, this is the problem. It's this fake offense to them locking down a game. I'm sorry, you got to call it as it is. I love PlayStation, but they lock shit down every fucking gen for a long period of time. There's no problems here. And we're used to it. But the second Xbox does it with a competitive title like Elder Scrolls 6, which people are going to really want, it's a problem now. It's exquisitely brutal. It's like,
dude, and that's from PC Gamer, and they're going to put their games are going to be on PC too.
Yes,
like day one.
Yes,
yeah. It is. I think we've talked about it before, Cog, and I think I've even talked about it a little bit on this show. Is that some PlayStation gamers feel entitled to everything? That their platform has always been the one to essentially have everything, and usually they would say, you get a PlayStation, you get to experience the best of first party, third party, Japanese support, right? Like, it was always, hey, if you bought a Nintendo system, you were going to maybe miss out on some third party stuff. It was just accepted, though. You knew that as a Nintendo fan. And as an Xbox fan, buying an Xbox, you're going to miss out on some Japanese support. Yeah. Right. And then you knew that Sony was going to make some deals and you might miss out on some other games. But PlayStation fans just have it in this thing. They're like, we're the best customers. PlayStation is the best, platform. We deserve these games. Right. And Xbox, like last gen, they weren't really putting up much of a fight. Their dukes were down, so to speak. Right. And, they knew they needed more games. So they go out and they make some purchases. They get Bethesda. And now suddenly, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, like all these games are no longer going to be on your platform. And I think it hits them in that realm of entitlement where now you might actually have to get an Xbox to play these games. But then don't you have a huge, like a bomb-ass PC? Like, didn't I hear, like, back when this next gen started, like, Series X is irrelevant because I can play everything on my PC regardless? Like, what happened to your PCs, guys?
Red messy right now.
I mean, come on. How often do we hear this? That the Series X was irrelevant because everything Microsoft does is on PC all the time. So, look, I understand there's plenty of people outside the gaming space who don't watch IGN or whatever, like, don't know about this. They don't know that Xbox is Bethesda is exclusive. It'll probably even get worse as we approach Redfall and Starfield next year. right?
Yeah.
I'll have to make that same video again for sure.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to, because people will be like, wait a minute, Starfield's exclusive? When did this happen?
Yeah.
It happened when they bought the studio, dumbasses. Right? I mean, come on. Why are we still talking? Like, if Sony bought Bethesda, nobody would even ask them. Like, if Sony had bought Bethesda and IGN was sitting down with Jim Ryan, they wouldn't even ask the question if they were being exclusive, because it would just be a given. You know, these games are exclusive. That's it. The only thing they say is like, are those games coming to PC? And Jim Ryan probably have to come up with some way to say, well, not right away or whatever. Like, I'm sick of this discussion. Get over it. The games are exclusives. End of story.
Sure. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. There's only one thing. I'm not even going to push back. There's only one thing I have to play devil's advocate with that I do understand, is that when we do say these things, that if Sony did it, you're absolutely right. It would be definitive. It's like only on PlayStation, whatever. Sometimes Microsoft does get themselves in trouble by not putting the foot down and literally saying, and I think that's the only room I give wiggle room here for people that want to get the answer to this question that everybody should have known already. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things that sometimes I do feel there's this, I think they've been burned from the Rise of the Tomb Raider situation. And that's how I look at it. Remember when that came out, it was only like a 1 year exclusivity. Remember people were like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And this doesn't, you know, this wasn't come through your platform. It wasn't organic through your platform. You just bought this or whatever. And I think they feeling, you know, the effects of that. But to your point, no other platform really gets asked that. So maybe they just have to do a better job initially, definitively, without question. You can only play it here and not worry about being nice and stepping on anybody's toes, because the opposition doesn't do that with them.
You know, I think a lot of these companies ask these questions to fill in them because they want the clicks, because they know the headline is going to draw people in, and maybe they hope in a year or two, maybe Xbox changes their minds.
Right. It almost is like that meme. So there's still a chance.
So there's still a chance. Like, we know right now in 2021, you're saying Elder Scrolls 6 is exclusive, but Matty, when this game comes out in 2025, is it really going to be exclusive 2026? Like
it's going to be, it's going to be the denial reignited. Like it's going to be a rage again, because we really, until like Redfall comes around, and that's a new thing, but I think Starfield is really where you're going to start to hear people complain big time. And it's going to,
especially if Starfield's
Starfield's a 90 type meta game.
Like, oh my God, the
reality was setting
and the wailing and the Twitter spaces will be wild then.
Yeah, it would definitely be best.
And look, I don't even say it to be like antagonistic. It's just, again, like I look at Final Fantasy VII Remake and KOTOR now, even though it's timed, as a perfect example of PlayStation continues to pay to keep shit off of platforms. So when Xbox buys a studio, not even a game, but buys a studio, they can keep the game. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair expectation to set. Do I want a ton of studio acquisitions and exclusivities, lockdowns? Like, I want people to experience games as much as possible, but like Phil kind of said, he tries to put it delicately, but the reality is like, hey, this sells our system. It gives people a reason to own it because you can't get this experience elsewhere. It's just about how aggressive you are with it. And it's funny how I always look at the Tomb Raider situation where I remember kind of being against it. Like, what are you guys doing? Because it looked desperate at the time. But with PlayStation in such a strong position, it's amazing how that perspective changes. Because again, you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, they continue to extend. They continue to lock down.
And my behind went right over to that PlayStation and downloaded it and bought it, and that's what it is. Works. I don't go into Burger King demanding Big Macs. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to Burger King in the first place, you're wrong. That place sucks. But
you brought up the Tomb Raider thing and the Final Fantasy thing, both from Square Enix. And when Microsoft announced the Tomb Raider thing, immediately everyone's asking, when's this coming to PlayStation? How long's the exclusivity deal up? When's it coming? We need to know this. Like, this is unfair.
They don't want to play it
with Final Fantasy. With Final Fantasy, everybody's like, that's a baller move by PlayStation. Congrats to them. Nobody was asking when the exclusivity deal was up. Nobody was asking when this is coming to PC or coming to Xbox. There's the difference between the two, right? But I will say, judging also from Phil's response, where he talked about like having the games and what Xbox can do for those games and like the ecosystem and all that stuff, it also made it seem like, man, if PlayStation would allow Game Pass and achievements on there, then these games would be on PlayStation.
Easily. I firmly agree with that. Firmly. If there was any alternate timeline in the multiverse, and Sony agreed, you best, because again, the key statement when Bethesda was announced, it will be where places where Game Pass exists.
Yep.
So whoever's willing to play ball with Game Pass, you can get these titles.
We still think it's Nintendo, right? They got, because I mean, remember, dude, I think it feels like that just fell off the map, right? They were putting the Switches in the background. I mean, again, I think Sarah Bonds is the most telling. They're like, they're in this complete set and there's just a Nintendo Switch sitting there.
So weird.
It really is. So they got to be working on something there. But that, or they're doing 4D chess and saying, look, Nintendo, look how much people want it. People are talking about it.
True that.
All right, let's move on to number 4. The dad of Xbox continues to do his job quite well. Over the course of 2021, we've learned about the future of Xbox through the likes of Project Dragon, Belfry, Cobalt, and even exclusive details on Avowed. Adding to that list are now Compulsion Games' Midnight and Obsidian's Pentiment. I didn't finish our write-up here because I planned on asking Jez about it. So I'm going to read a little bit from his article here, and then we'll discuss. So Jez writes on Windows Central Gaming, which you should check out. Recently, we received some details on Compulsion's first outing as part of Xbox Game Studios. Currently codenamed Midnight, this upcoming title is supposedly a third-person action game set in a dark and fantastical world. Some of the game's early concept artwork can be seen on this site. They represent the game's protagonist alongside a warped harpy-like humanoid that appears to descend through various iterations of mutation. And then on the left for this concept art, they can see a harpy nest-style dwellings built atop a tree. Midnight is described as a coming-of-age tale, drawing upon inspirations from America's Deep South. The game features magic and large fantastical beasts with a strong Southern Gothic vibe. The game is a wholly single-player experience with what has been described to me as a strong story. As for Obsidian's Pentiment, which has been leaked, and we talked about it through Grub and whatnot, we learned on... He writes here, with my co-host Rand Al Thor on Xbox 2's podcast, it's called Pentiment, which is referring to an underlying image in a painting, especially one that has become visible when the top layer of paint has turned transparent with age, according to the dictionary. This naming convention hints at the game's premise, by which you act as an investigator in 16th century Europe, uncovering the truth behind a grisly murder. Brub mentioned that Pentiment takes cues from the likes of Disco Elysium and the branching narrative designs Josh Sawyer is known for. You'll be able to investigate and make accusations against characters in-game, which could lead to cascading consequences if you're wrong. It'll be a dialogue-heavy game with decisions to make and response options to choose from, which will shape your experience as you unwrap the murder conspiracy before you. I'm told that Pentiment is being built by a small team of around 12 people and is more of a narrative RPG adventure than something combat-oriented. The art asset, which is also shown in this article, represents some of the designs that the game is gunning for. Grubb also mentioned that Pentiment is exploring experimental gameplay mechanics too, although they may ultimately not make it into the final release, which he said is gunning for a 2022 launch. And when I talked to Grubb separately in a video of mine, second half of 2022, which I mentioned on Define Duke last week, but just to make sure that's there. Rand, let's dish it to you. This is your co-host, right? So any additional scoops that came alongside this report that you had heard from Jez or yourself that you wanted to enlighten on Midnight as well as Pentiment?
I think Jez pretty much laid out everything in those in his article. Like he'd been sitting on that info for quite some time. And I mean, this is, Cognito, you've been asking for a just one, you want that just one. It sounds like Compulsion is going to take their swing at it. Like, this Compulsion was one of the studios, maybe the studio, where I didn't understand why Xbox bought them. I didn't get it. Like, you can make the case for all the other ones. Undead Labs, they do State of Decay, Playground Games, Fable, Forza, right? Obsidian, In Exile, like all these other, like Double Fine, like I understood the reasonings behind them. But for this one, I was like, Compulsion, like Contrast and We Happy Few, like what do you see in them, right? And I remember talking to Phil about it, and he was like, going on about how they have a great, leadership at there and really good vision.
He smoothly dropped that he talked to Phil. You see that? That was a baller move. Continue. That was Phil. Continue.
So to see what they're working on, Project Midnight, which is like a dark fantasy third-person game, American, like deep South Gothic inspired, which is really cool. It's not something we see a lot of every single day. Maybe this game could be nominated for the game of the year since it's got a cinematic story.
Like it got the criteria.
Yeah.
It's not a racing game, so maybe it could be game of the year.
That was a good one.
No, I'm really excited to see what they do and hopefully be proven wrong. Where I'm like, okay, I get it now. I understand why you got them. As for Obsidian's game, kind of sounds like a Disco Elysium inspired, like murder mystery. Like, I don't know, it could be pretty cool. Josh Sawyer, he's made some bangers in the past. Obsidian's just could they just turn out to be Xbox's Insomniac? Like just consistent quality yearly releases. Well, not maybe yearly, but like
frequent.
They're already doing Outer Worlds 2 and they're doing, they're doing Avowed and they're doing Grounded and now they're doing this. I mean, that's some heavy lifting that Obsidian's doing. They're taking that next step where like people, if Avowed hits and Outer World hits and this game hits, people are going to have to look at Obsidian in a different way, give them a lot more respect than they currently do. But yeah, man, my eyes are on, I want to see that game now. I want to know what it looks like, how it's going to play. I think we'll maybe see it next year. I think it's a 2023 release if I had to guess. But Cog, I know. Come on, you're. This is the game that you've been waiting for. Let's hear it, man.
Yeah, man. This is a good announcement. I was so happy for the team, and
were you happy for the team? Because Jez leaked it. I don't think the team was very happy to have.
Well, I don't think
leaked.
the team was happy with Jez.
Yeah, the team wasn't happy with Jez.
I don't think that. But again, we had Dahlia Hodges on from Compulsion, and she did allude. I knew for a little bit that it would be kind of in the vein third person, narrative bit, but to see Jez talk about it in further detail, to get the art style, to see what's going on. I just got to ask this question. This is a very contentious part. Shout out to my homie Jay Fonz, really. For my understanding, Rand, is this considered a AAA style game? Because I was told, so I have conflicting things. And some people are like, oh, no, it's not. It's a smaller thing. It's Compulsion. It's not going to be big. But then I heard people say, no, if you look at the job listings, they're saying AAA. Do we know, this? I wish Jez was here. If we knew definitively if it was going to be like a AAA style budget, because that's a point of contention here as far as, listen, I'm the leader of the Just One movement. People can't tell me what it is and what it isn't. It fits the criteria. So in my opinion, it is, because it's third person, it's narrative, and it's a new IP. That's my main thing. So my whole thing is super excited. I want to see them with a budget, with the full reins under Microsoft. We know Phil was excited about this, right? One of their titles that they were really pumped about. And to be honest, look, it does hit a personal note for me. African-American, protagonist, female, that's rare, deep South. Do they go there? You know what I'm saying? Do they go? Like, there's a lot of potential. And here's the thing. I get what you're saying, Rand, with the Compulsion. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't expect. And I get it. I feel they were one of those studios. I remember having Contrast on my PS4 as a launch title, I believe. It's very early. And it was the light and dark game. It had a lot of potential. I liked it, right? Few Happy Few. Wasn't perfect, had some issues, but a lot of potential. And I feel like the studio issues always got in the way of what they could be. So I am super excited to see what they could do. So you already know how I feel about this. This is hashtag Just One. This is fire. I'm all about it. Pentiment. This is for me again. I just ranted and raved about finishing Disco Elysium. Yeah. I love Detective. I love Story. Josh Sawyer. Obsidian stunting. I'm good. I'm going to give it to Matty, but I'm super pumped for all of this. These are like in my wheelhouse all the way.
Yeah, same. I'm actually a fan of Compulsion games because I feel like their biggest limit's been budget. Like you saw them make something in Contrast that fit the team size and budget, and I thought it turned out pretty well. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I like Contrast.
And then you play something like We Happy Few, which again, they nailed the tone for both these games really well. So they have a good feel for atmosphere.
You take your joy.
Yeah, right. Like that opening is, to me, that's one of the best openings in a video game. It's not one of the best games, but it's really weird to say that. I genuinely think that opening with the newspapers and censoring things or not censoring things, and then the joy introduction, it's just superb. It was gripping, and unfortunately it kind of falls apart from there. But you saw what happened when they didn't have the budget for something they wanted to do. So I think now that they're going to have a budget, depending on how they manage it, we could see something that falls a little bit above what they typically make, especially with this one saying it's a story focus, it's a strong story.
Right.
They're not going to mess around, I think, with some of the BS mechanics that hurt We Happy Few, the survival stuff. That was when every game just wanted to be survival. I don't know why. Like, We Happy Few made zero sense on why it had to be a survival game other than it was an industry trend. So I'm just excited for them in general. They're a small team. If I was looking at their LinkedIn, about 70 developers.
Any AAA talk?
No, I was looking at the job listings, looking at articles, and they were carefully worded. So they never mentioned what kind of game they were working on, just that they were working on a game and looking for new employees. So,
and to my last point, even if it's not AAA, sorry to cut you. Even if it's not AAA, again, I got to come from my man Fonz. I love you, Fonz. We was going back and forth with Twitter. I had what I'll be because he was the Last of Us style budget. My thing is, we got to remember when you look at something like a Hellblade 1, right? Small team, look what they created and punched above their weight. And now look what they're about to be afforded. But I just want to say, we got to be careful with throwing A's on stuff and getting mad, you know what I'm saying, until we see the game in action as opposed to just concept art. Continue. I just want to
I think there's what Xbox needs to be careful of is a difference in their presentation of the first party studios. Like the way they talk about them are all viewed equally. Like what Initiative gets is what Compulsion gets is what Bethesda Game Studios gets, even though their relevance in announcement and releases is staggeringly different. And PlayStation struggled with this for a little bit. Like, I don't think people were having an issue when, say, Tearaway came around, which I believe was that from first party studio? I'm not 100% sure, but we'll just use that as an example. I hope that with how reactive critics are and how reactive gaming fans are, that it's not like where PlayStation had to suffer with, like, we have The Last of Us and we have Tearaway. Both of these are first party games. And people aren't like going, well, where's the budget for this game over here? Why didn't it get what The Last of Us got? Like, I hope people understand that these will receive differing budgets. And someone like Compulsion Games might have to earn their way to the full AAA. I hope they get it out the gate because I think they'll do well with it. But they may be treated differently, where Playground Games has earned the ability to secure a bag and say, like, hey, here's a lot of money, go spend it and make a better game that's going to earn us more. So that's the one thing that I worry about is I could see Compulsion Games based off the type of titles they've made, making something more artistically driven, tighter.
Right.
And one last question I just have for you guys. What is Deep South American Gothic? What is that? That doesn't, I'm thinking like almost Florida with like Bloodborne
gargoyles.
I genuinely am like, what is this? What I can't think of it in my head. And
I mean, for me, I don't know. When I think American South Deep Gothic, I'm thinking of like Louisiana, like voodoo type stuff.
Okay.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's literally what I'm thinking. And man, one thing about Compulsion, they're edgy. Yeah, they got a little edge to them. So I'm curious, how far they go there. But I think the Louisiana Rand's on point. Like, I love certain aspects of that whole time period and element. And of course, it's going to be fantastical elements. It's not going to be historic. It doesn't seem like a history piece from what we heard so far. But I am very curious, man. I think there's a lot of potential.
Voodoo, that sounds right. That makes sense.
So I just Googled Southern Gothic on Wikipedia, and it says Southern Gothic is a subgenre of Gothic fiction and American literature that takes place in the American South. Common themes in Southern Gothic literature include deeply flawed, disturbing, or eccentric characters who may be involved in hoodoo, decayed or derelict settings, grotesque situations, and other sinister events relating to or stemming from poverty, alienation, crime, or violence.
I think they're going to go there.
I think they're going to go there too.
Go there. Yeah.
And as long as I get my authentic accents from NOLA, I'm good.
Dude, I got to go there one day. That place looks great.
Oh, I bet, bro. Oh, just stay away from that strip. Man. Man, it was fun.
No, I've heard.
French Quarter.
But,
salute to the French Quarter.
I really wish Jez was here. Like,
I know.
We'd be having
I
such
wish
a great
was
time because he could talk more about this. But in that article, Matty, he mentioned 2 other project names he had discovered: Project Vonnegut, as well as Project Velvet.
Okay.
And there was rumors, I think even Jeff Grubb had kind of put it out there, that possibly Project Vonnegut is a return of Shadowrun, perhaps.
Oh, cocked face.
Really?
Supposedly, and I
Really?
know that the new head of Arcane Leon, I don't know his name off the top of my head, who was the creative director on Deathloop, and he's now
my mortal enemy, Dinga Bakuma.
He had tweeted out like, "What game would you like to see brought back?" And he had 4 games, and one of them was Shadowrun. And I started thinking like, what if Arcane did Shadowrun next? How cool would that be?
I want Arcane to be handed the keys to the castle. Like, give them something really popular. Have them stop making their own IP. It's not working out. Give them something.
What would you want them to make? What would you want them to make?
Oh man, they can make anything. They really could, as long as it's not Deathloop. They can make anything. And
so Matty's not like Deathloop 2. We're not doing that.
I'll play anything they make. Is my point. But yeah, like I always thought of them making. Have you guys ever played? I might get the name wrong. It's like Star Wars Lethal Alliance or something like that. You play as
Dark Alliance?
No, I don't think it's Dark Alliance. It's you play as this like I think it's like a rebel agent, and there's like stealth gameplay in it. And I thought to myself, it'd be so cool to see them make like a stealthy Star Wars game where you play as like an Imperial agent infiltrating like the rebellion or something. That'd be really cool. But I just want them to get handed like a bomb IP, like one that's big and people will look at, because I think they do a good job.
You want them to bring back Banjo?
That would be good too. That'd be good too. We've been Team Banjo remake here for a while, so I think that works. Anyway,
what was that second? What was that other Rand? What was that other one? Project
Velvet.
What was that one?
Jez didn't have any info about it. It's just the project name.
Sounds like the sequel to Wet. Imagine that. All right, number 5. Xbox Game Pass is often regarded as a platform that is a huge money sink, one that Microsoft won't see a return on investment for many years to come. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, says that is not the case at all. Speaking with Stephen Totilo at Axios, Phil began his rebuttal by getting into the recent, quote, missed internal target, end quote, for Xbox Game Pass. Quote, I'm always going to set those targets high. Game Pass is doing very well from a business perspective and a creative and engagement perspective. So it continues to be, I think, a real differentiator for our platform and enabler for creators and players, end quote. Then Phil came putting his chest out on the sustainability of Game Pass. Quote, I mean, you could do the math on Game Pass. I guess you don't know how many subscribers or how much each subscriber is paying, but you can make some fairly informed decisions and literally just do the math on what we think Game Pass could eventually be. You could do that on any part of the business, but absolutely Game Pass is sustainable. I love seeing it growing because I see what it does to the diversity of games that people play and the games that we can go fund to go create. And I think that's a very magical mix. But it's a growth as a part of Xbox. It's not the only thing that's growing in Xbox. It's not the only focus of the organization. And it is, as a standalone thing, a very sustainable thing as it sits today. It says just like today. I don't know why he said that twice. It's sustainable. I know there's a lot of people who like to write, we're burning cash right now for some future pot of gold at the end. No, Game Pass is very, very sustainable right now as it sits, and it continues to grow. Sean Miles had a really interesting write-in that can give us some perspective on that math. Hi, guys. Colin always speaks about how he does not think Game Pass is sustainable. Phil just addressed that he thinks it is very sustainable and that you can, quote, do the math, end quote. I always do it in my head in defense of Game Pass, but never hear anyone do it for the public. So here's the math. 18 million subscribers as of January 2021 at $10 a month is a gross revenue of $180 million a month, or $2.16 billion a year. To put that into perspective, that's the same revenue if Microsoft sells 3 million copies of an exclusive at $60 a pop and pockets all of it every month. If we assume the 37% subscriber increase is from 18 million, the numbers jump to 24.6 million subscribers and 246 million a month, 4 million at $60 a month. This is for the sales of the game, 4 million sales at $60 monthly. Please educate Colin and the audience that the numbers do add up. P.S. I use $10 a month to try to account for the number of $1 trials and $15 a month ultimate subscribers. The numbers really jump 50% increase to the above if you add $5 per subscriber. So I just thought this was a good perspective to have. We ain't going to dog on Colin here. No need for that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sustainability of Game Pass. Phil really had enough of this, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. He came out swinging. He didn't. He didn't like this because
He didn't like it.
so many people they talk about Game Pass, and then they always like, well, is it really making money? And like nobody knows because like we don't get the breakdowns. We don't have the subscriber count. We don't know how much they're bringing in. We don't know how much is going out to make these deals like Outriders or MLB The Show or whatever. So we're just sitting there and we're thinking to ourselves, man, this service is pretty too good to be true sometimes. And usually when something's too good to be true, you know, there's reasons for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, Phil's been pretty vocal. This isn't the first time he's talked about this subject in, you know, particular about, yeah, everything, you know, works out business wise, you know, like it's sustainable, blah, 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 blah. And I think some of that has to go to talk about like Sean Layden, where he basically said Microsoft needed 500 million subscribers. Remember like when they talked about that?
Yeah,
it was just like, huh?
Even Aaron Greenberg, right, when he was like, it's not a for-profit play is what he said earlier a couple of years ago.
At one point, I remember he said that.
And so I think things have changed internally.
Yeah, so I think Phil's had enough, and he's just like, listen, and he made sure to point out that in the article that Matty quoted, as it stands today, it's what was the exact words he used? It's profitable or
sustainable,
it's
very sustainable. As in, I think that means profitable. I would imagine.
So you know, that's maybe it has like 25 million subscribers now. Who knows what Forza and Halo are going to do to it?
Right.
So you get those numbers, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, you know, like maybe they're onto something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll jump in. You know, I'll be honest. Like with the number stuff, I don't really care about it as long as I'm a selfish gamer. As long as the deal benefits me, you know, that's my primary goal. And you know, a lot of people, you know, I think there's a subset that tries to, not everybody, that tries to discredit Game Pass by saying, well, like you said, Rand, like, well, I don't know, right? You know, is it? And to me, that's not what I'm worried about. My pay grade is not to be in the boardroom and bean counter. And these guys literally get paid to do this stuff, right? That clearly, from a corporate standpoint, they have worked out internally how they think this is going to benefit them. I leave that to those guys, right? What I do find interesting is Phil jumping out on this, though, and saying that, you know, in his mind, I mean, not in his mind, but it is sustainable. It is something they're going to continue. And I think, you know what it is for me, Rand? I don't know if you caught that. He had a Wall Street Journal interview, I believe, with Sarah Needleman. And he made a very key point for the first time. I never heard this because a lot of people felt like, you know, the play for Xbox is to everything's all in on Game Pass. And then they don't care if they lose all this money up front. It's just long-term play and it's a pot of gold at the end, right? Mm-hmm. So that, and the vibe I got, he literally distinctly said, if you're thinking that us banking on Game Pass is our sole way of, you know, income as far as our ecosystem and what we're trying to do, he said that's not part of the model. He said that's one part of the model. Basically, you got that. He said retail, and then he mentioned cloud. He said it's all those things. So they want, the vibe I got is they want this diverse economic structure where they understand there's going to be people who don't want Game Pass that just want to buy games one way. There's people that's going to want Game Pass to subscribe to the value of that. Then he talked about cloud, this other stuff. So he, to me, reinforced that the model is not all in Game Pass, and if it doesn't work, we're screwed and we're going for the big pot of gold. And that is key. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I will say in defense of the naysayers that gets them in trouble, this goes back to what I talked about with the exclusivity, is the reason why people will question is because they don't show the number. Yeah. Right? So when you don't show the numbers, people automatically going to be assuming like, something's wrong over there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing. Look, I'm not behind the board. I don't get paid that much. I don't know what the reasoning or the thought process as to not. But until they do that, then I think they will get less pushback from people who are concerned, or people who are skeptical. You know what I'm saying? God, that's all I got. Yeah. I really don't care. That's what happened.
No, and as to your point, that's what Netflix and Spotify operate in this manner where you just subscribe and that's it, right? Mm-hmm. So you mentioned how he said Game Pass is just one thing, and then all these other things. That's what makes it completely different. because someone may not want to subscribe to Game Pass, but they'll still buy the third-party games. There's still DLC to actually purchase. Hell, you can play Halo Infinite and spend $200 on a battle pass. Like, you can't do those things. You can't do those things on Spotify or Netflix. So that makes the economics a little bit different.
Good point.
Yeah, look, people. I think there's some people out there that don't like it when Xbox succeeds. And one of the big things about Xbox is Game Pass.
Right.
And they look at it and they don't maybe like the direction that the industry might head in with subscription services.
Sure.
So they think there has to be a flaw within Game Pass itself, where it's like, it's too expensive, you're burning money, and if you're burning money forever, then at some point you're going to have to get rid of it, right? But I mean, here you have pretty definitively Phil coming out and be like, no, man, like, it's a weird argument that people use against Game Pass, because you can talk about like the games that actually go into the service and whether or not like people would subscribe to them. Like, is anybody really subscribing for the Ascent or 12 minutes, right? But like, when the discussion around the service is always centered around, is it making Microsoft's money? It's missing the point. Like, number one, who cares if it's making money or not?
Yes.
Like,
agreed.
I'm taking advantage of it. We're all taking advantage of it.
Well, we were gamers first.
I'm never worried. To me, I don't care if Netflix is burning cash.
Thank you.
What does it matter to me? Like, I'm here to enjoy the content that they make.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. It's like, why are you using this argument to downplay it when there's other better arguments around the game library and the curation that you can make, right?
Bro.
But maybe there's not enough AAA games that people actually want to play to help grow the service. But instead, we always come back down to this stupid, primitive, doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
If you remember, one of my classic rants that I clipped on IOP about this is literally like, I don't go into the car dealership and go into the ring and say, you know what? This is too good a deal. How are you making money, Range Rover? How are you doing this? I can't. I got to look at the long-term numbers, man, because I need you. No one's doing that. You go, you see the car on sale. You're like, oh, this is my month. I'm getting it now. And it's just this fake concern. And look, I understand to be curious and inquisitive on business. I get that. But benefit to the gamer should be and the devs, because we know how we love the devs here. You know what I'm saying? Like, the devs are benefiting, you're benefiting. Let those guys worry about that. And if Netflix and all that go, that's their undoing. Benefit yourself. That's my main frustration with all this fake concern stuff about people's pocket watches, corporate pocket watches. That's what it is. Sorry.
We have a write-in from Qualia Freak as well, which can kind of tailor into this discussion. Although it wasn't specifically about this topic, I thought it was really fitting. Greetings to the Green Dukes. I believe we find ourselves in the eve before the great Xbox resurgence, and I celebrate that like the rest of the fiefdom. Is that what we call the DD fan base? I never thought of that. The release of Halo will be the true first hook into Xbox Game Pass strategy. And as we know with fishing, after the fish bites, you must pull back and reel. My question is one about future financial decisions. When does Microsoft raise the price of Game Pass? $15 a month for Ultimate is a competitive price in a battle for time with the likes of Netflix and Disney Plus at similar levels. It seems inevitable that Grand Overlord Satya Nadella eventually will demand an increase, especially if that 50 million user base to be profitable number that gets thrown around isn't hit anytime soon, and inflation continues at its current rate. Do we see $18 a month a year from now, $20? And is it time that Jeff Grubb's Xbox Live Gold is free prediction comes to pass? Thank you for your insight, and I hope your day's expectations are tempered by Aaron Greenberg. I didn't see that when I was copy and pasted. That's
that was a bar. Damn.
I didn't see that. That's mad funny.
You didn't even mention that, Matty, but how do you feel now after seeing the anniversary show?
I was trying to be mature, yeah.
When Aaron said there would be no news drop, but there was two things that were pretty big news drops.
Aaron, I like you, buddy. I will never believe you again, though. You've got me too many times now. My expectations are no longer tempered. If I start to see the reports, the news, storefronts, all that shit, I'm hyped. That's all there is to it. But this, it's not a news beat, and I get what he was saying. Seeing the stream, it's like, yeah, they announced like a documentary. They teased the Halo stuff. They released Halo Infinite early, and they show back-and-back games. What do you mean it's not a news beat, dude? What do you mean? Like, just... I get it. It was scary. The third-party gameplay showcase really didn't have gameplay. It was not that damaging. I'm sorry. It was not. Let's stop holding on to the past here. Let go. Let your fans get excited. Stop telling them what to feel when a showcase rolls around. That's my take. It's just, again, I lined up a bunch of showcases where expectations were tempered by Xbox, and they announced Perfect Dark at Game Awards 2020. It's like, come on, man. Like, enough's enough here. What do you guys think?
Promise and over deliver, I guess.
But it's just that wasn't even reverse psychology. It's like just people went, oh, I guess I'm not tuning in then. And then Halo gets announced. They're like, what was he talking about?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know. I don't know that for a fact. A lot of people didn't know. To the initial point, I'll just jump in real quick. I agree. I think at some point, once they receive a certain level of either subscriber count or profitability, like Netflix, there will be an ultimate increase at some point later down the road when they get targets. That's just my guess. But Rand, I'm curious, what do you think?
I'm with you. And if I didn't have this quote from Phil, I don't know. I almost feel like if it's very, very sustainable,
I see
stick. That's how I feel. Unless they do like a bombshell move or they really start going hard with day one games, then I could see that. But right now, it's like, if it's very, very sustainable, everyone's happy and it's growing, then what do you need to increase it for? Again, I think down the line, yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. Yeah,
I'm talking years and years.
I'm talking about let's say they get, because remember, we still know they're going to do acquisition phase. They're still searching, right? So let's just say WB gets that, right? Let's just say, like, at some point, the cost of the building down the road, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was saying. But not like any immediate future stuff.
Because I think it hurts them too much if you increase it then add. You know what I'm saying? Like, get everyone in the building. Let's say they get WB, they get their studios, and their acquisitions slow down. I don't know if they're ever truly done, but they slow down a little bit.
Right.
Then you increase the price. Because if you're the amount of good PR you get by saying, we've added Warner Bros. To the family, and here's all their shit on Game Pass, and it's still the same goddamn price. Like, there's just, that's undeniable, right? So that's just my quick 2 cents on it. Rand, how are you feeling?
I think 100% they will raise the price at some point. I mean, it's inevitable. Like, all these subscription services raise their price, to go along with the raise, the how inflation rate. Yeah. So it's like, at some point they will. At some point, I don't know if they'll go up $1. Maybe regular Game Pass becomes $15 and Ultimate becomes $20.
Right.
I would imagine they're probably not looking at it right now. I think they're still in user acquisition mode. See how many people they can get for Forza, for Halo, for Starfield, for Redfall, and the other games for next year. Maybe in 2023 when they start their vision, like this, I look at 2023 as the beginning of the new Xbox era of we got a game coming, a big game every quarter. I think that is the beginning, because you look at this year, and this year ended up being really good, the back half, but that first 6 months was barren, worse than barren. They had nothing. It had like the medium, and that was it. It had nothing else.
Medium.
Right? Next year you have Stalker, but then you also have some games that were delayed from this year. So you got like Scorn, you got Crossfire X, you got Exo Mecha, right? You have some other games in the beginning of next year, and then the end of the year is big, but there are really no first party games at the beginning of next year. I think 2023 is when you're actually going to start seeing Xbox has a first party game in February. They got a first party game in May. They got a first party game in August, right? You're going to have that stuff. And I think maybe that year is the year they maybe bump the price up a little bit.
Hey, that's a good thought. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree.
And as for Jeff Grubb's prediction of Xbox Live going away, both me and Jez have said we also feel Xbox Live Gold will go away when they reach a specific number.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Whether it's like 50 million, 40 million, there's a number I think they have internally marked that if they reach that, they can get rid of Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already gotten rid of Xbox Live Gold, right? Remember, because it's Xbox Network now. So Gold's already kind of being phased out. And I think it's only a matter of time before paying for the online multiplayer is completely phased out.
Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed.
Number 6. It began with 50 Cent Blood in the Sand, and the magic wand of COG continues with 1 versus 100. GamesBeat insider Jeff Grubb has claimed a new 1 versus 100 game is, quote, definitely, end quote, in development at AltSpace VR as a part of Microsoft's mixed reality division. Grubb also reports that this new rendition of 1 versus 100 will utilize the 3D avatars recently announced as part of the VR experience for Microsoft Teams. In 2019, Phil Spencer had specifically expressed that 1 versus 100 is a game he would like to revive, yet the issue was the IP is owned by a game show company. I know nothing about this. Jeff even tweeted about our show, teasing me about it. Jez got in on it, so I'm going to embrace the ignorance here. I know nothing about 1 versus 100. Educate me.
Woo!
Why is this good news?
Man, talk to him. Talk to him, man.
1 versus 100 is a completely unique experience in consoles when it was around in the 360. You basically joined a game, you and your friends, and you're put in the crowd, and then one person was kind of brought as the forefront as the one. And there would be trivia questions you'd have to answer, and if you kept on getting them right, I think the more you got right, you would get you could reach some prizes, right? And there was like a live like announcer DJ would actually be doing it live, right? And it was just a lot of fun. It was so unique to be in this thing doing some trivia, and they got rid of it. Maybe due to licensing issues. I don't even think 1 versus 100 even exists really more anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's always something that Xbox fans ask for to come back. Like, come on, bring this back. And when you think about like the Xbox ecosystem now, it's the perfect time to do it. You have the consoles, you got PC, and you got cell phones, you got tablets. Like, you could be like, you know what? Someone's watching TV, but you could just easily log in on your phone to answer some trivia questions. I would even imagine like this game would be exclusive to Game Pass. They wouldn't even sell it. Well, maybe it'd be a free-to-play game, but I look at it, maybe this is a game that's just like lives in Game Pass.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. Like, Phil's talked recently about the desire to have more casual-friendly games, talking about maybe acquiring some more of those studios. Like, come on, like a trivia game speaks to that. So I'm all for it. I would love to see 1 versus 100 come back. I'm pretty sure you also enjoyed 1 versus 100. So tell Matty what he missed out on.
Tell the young guy. Man. I don't know what I'm doing. I was in diapers while you were playing 1 versus 100.
4 scores and 7 years ago.
You know what's going to be funny is that 1 versus 100 is going to come back, run for 3 or 4 years, get canceled before Fallout 5 is even...
Oh, that was good. That was good. Man, that was good.
There's some silent truth to that too, man. There's so much that's going to happen between now and Fallout 5.
That was good, Red. I like that. No, I mean, look, man, it was a movement. It was something so special. It reminds me of, like I said, Golden Era, 360. You know what it was cool about too? Because Avatars kind of debuted around that time.
Yep.
And you had your physical representation of yourself in this crowd, live announce a game. It's a game show, bro. It's literally a game show. And the trivia got tougher, progressively harder. You had to, sometimes if you were selected as the one, sometimes the mob can help you. And you'd be like, okay, am I going to go with their route or I'm going to go somewhere else with their answers and stuff like that? And you said it perfectly, Matty, in the sense that bringing it back now in this era, with an Xbox reward system.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
And you could be like, yo, prizes are, you win this point here, free game. Like the potential. And then what Rand is saying with Game Pass and locking it in with the casual, you could play it on mobile. You could play it in cloud. Like this is such an ease of use, ultimate slam dunk. That's why it had to be, in my mind, the company or some type of legal issue that they couldn't bring it back. The last point I'll say, which is underrated with this, is the AltSpace VR aspect. It looks like Microsoft wants to get involved on the virtual reality aspect as well. I also know they've been playing very nice with Meta / Facebook, whatever, Oculus as well. I could see, if this thing jumps off, I could see it also jumping into the VR space as well, because again, in VR, virtual representation of yourself via an avatar, very ease of use input game. Just pick a button and there's a timer with your choice. That's it. They're sitting on a gold mine if they do this right. If they do this right, and this could set up more game shows, if this one hit,
Were you able to play whenever with 1 versus 100? Or was it like a set time?
No.
It was a set
set
time.
times.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was set time.
Cool.
So it'd be like, yo,
and that's what made it even cooler because it was like a set time. It was like 7 p.m. You had to be in the lobby ready to go because it was a live show with the live host. Although they did have sometimes where it wasn't a live host, they had to repeat a little bit later. But yeah, it was just that special. I don't know. When you think back on the 360 and what made Xbox Live so great. Like 1 versus 100 was it. And even still, like all these years later, there's been some game phones, quiz shows on the phone that blew up and then kind of fell apart. But like it hasn't really ever been done since. And, Phil's talked about it in multiple interviews. Like he's laying these things down in advance. Like I think it's like Jeff Grubb said, definitely happening. If Jeff Grubb's putting it out there, Phil's talking about it, it's going to happen at some point.
I completely agree.
Well, I'm looking forward to playing it for the first time whenever that happens. And what kind of questions do they ask you, by the way, when you play the game?
It was like, think of it like Jeopardy, but it's like multiple choice. You know, so just tough questions, but they would have, you have your 3 or 4 choices, I believe you pick and stuff like that. But the key to it was the mob if you got selected, because they would say, okay, the question is blah, blah, blah. The mob is saying this. Do you go with them? Do you not? You know what I'm saying? Like it added a complexity to the multiple level choice. And a lot of times, sometimes the mob be right and you go against it. So it was just a lot of pressure. And then you had the timer aspect. You got to be quick. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot. It was fun, man. It was just a real fun. Last point I'll say is that it also reminds me, Rand, remember, if you remember this, Netflix debuted with their avatar system. Yep. Remember the coolest thing? You could actually watch movies together on Netflix. I remember when that used to be a thing. They took that away.
I mean, that was amazing. I don't know why they still haven't done it. But yeah, a lot of the questions were video game related, obviously, which was super cool. But yeah, you had to be quick. And you'd be answering these things super quick, but then someone is like faster. You're like, God, man, how did that guy get it that much faster? I don't know. It was cool. It's something that I think will help kind of differentiate Xbox from other platforms if they do something like this.
Right on.
Bring it back.
I'm looking forward to trying it out. Sounds good.
No doubt.
Number 7, quick one here. Quietly announced recently was the release date of The Gunk by developer Image and Form. Sitting right in Halo Infinite's aftermath, The Gunk will arrive day and date to Game Pass on December 16th, 2021. So that's when it's coming. I don't have much interest in this one, so I don't have much to say. Do either of you?
Oh, I have my eye on it. Rand, what about you?
It's the same thing as you. Have my eye on it. Looks cool. The developer seems like they've put out some quality games in the past. So it's in Game Pass, right? We'll see how this goes. It's another game for the end of the year. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't really know much about what you do in the game.
Same.
Yeah.
So I'll have to give it a spin in a couple weeks, I guess.
Yeah. Same here. So we'll see, but not much to add on that other than it's heading out. And I know we've gotten some write-ins. Why is anyone talking about it? I know. There you go. Job done.
No doubt.
Number 8, new to Xbox Game Pass. We got some additions, some exits. Let's go over them. Available right now are Dead Space and Dragon Age Origins on the cloud. Then November 17th, you have Next Space Rebels on cloud, console, and PC. This is an ID at Xbox haul, by the way. All of these are the ID at Xbox program. On November 18th, you get XO1 on cloud, console, PC. Fae Tactics on cloud, console, PC. My Friend Pedro on cloud, console, and PC, as well as Undungeon on cloud, console, and PC. Then November 23rd, you get, this is not a typo, Deer. Cloud, console, PC. Mortal Shell also arrives through cloud, console, and PC. Then November 30th, we get Evil Genius on cloud, console, and PC. So even though we still got Halo multiplayer and Forza Horizon 5 day one, they're still making significant additions, I would say. Then exiting Game Pass, one of these, COG, I want to talk to you about, man. I was shocked when I saw it. So let's start with November 30th. Call of the Sea leaves cloud, console, and PC. FIFA 19 leaves console and PC. Football Manager 21, both the Xbox edition and PC edition, leave. We also have Haven exiting cloud, console, and PC. Hello Neighbor, leaves cloud, console, and PC. Morkred leaves cloud, console, and PC. And Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender Action leaves PC Game Pass. December 8th, Destiny 2, Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, and Forsaken exit console and cloud Game Pass. Cog, I gotta hand it to you. Normally we go into the role of like, hey, let's talk about the additions. Let's talk about what's there.
Yeah.
This is probably your most noteworthy exit here. What are you thinking about all of this? We were talking about Pete Parsons, I believe his name is, and Phil Spencer, buddy. What's with the exit here? I thought this was here to stay. Is it because of Witch Queen?
Yeah.
What's going on?
It is surprising. I mean, there are a couple of things here. I know, shout out to you and Rand, brought it to my attention. The first thing is Forsaken is leaving, right? So regardless of Game Pass, Forsaken, and I believe Shadowkeep, there's another one as well that is leaving.
Okay.
So they have this thing called the Destiny Content Vault, where it's a controversial thing, where pretty much some of the older expansions gets vaulted, and then they get rid of it and then bring in new stuff. And their reasoning is, the size of the game is getting too big. And that's a whole nother thing. We had Hogue Law on the last word about it, and we broke down that's another thing. But in that aspect, I understand from the Forsaken standpoint, and they're going to get rid of it. The Beyond Light thing is surprising. I'm not going to sit there and say it is not. It is a surprising thing that it is being removed from Game Pass. Now, I believe December 8th is right around the time the Bungie 30th anniversary is coming on, and they're adding a whole bunch of new content that's going to be packaged in also with Witch Queen if you buy the big thing. I will say this. Surprising, but I'm still going to hold on to my theory. It's a long shot now, but I'm still going to hold on to my theory that Witch Queen still does come. I just think that the game is leaning itself out from an expansion standpoint in relation to that content vault. And there's still a chance after they get all their pre-order money for the Bungie of 30th on December 8th, as well as Witch Queen, as we get closer. And I believe they have the Game Pass version of Destiny, right? Which I was surprising. Because here's my thing. Basically Destiny's leaving Game Pass, right? So why make a Game Pass PC version if you know the roadmap? If you knew it was leaving, why invest the time to make it on PC and the resources, right? That was just my thing. So I'm still going to hold on to the fact that come February, we may still get an announcement. Hey, last minute, we're adding it to the service on February on PC Game Pass and and you'll just get Witch Queen. And if you want the older stuff, they're going
but I think that makes sense, right? Because we had talked about Xbox, I think, needs something in February, and I think Game Pass is the key to that. I was saying Dying Light 2, but I think Witch Queen makes a lot more sense as a heavy hitter. Do you find it, both of you, any bit peculiar? Again, I don't want to overanalyze the date here. We did get a write-in about it. But December 8th, the same day as Halo. Obviously, it's not super calculated, but do you think Xbox is like, we'll talk to you guys in February?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. When
did Beyond Light hit?
That's a good question. When did I'm forgetting now. When
I can look.
That was like, I'm going to say like a summer thing. I'm forgetting when Beyond Light launched.
You should know that you're the Destiny guy.
I know.
November 10th,
I haven't
2020.
Okay, yeah, I forget. It's been a while. I've played Destiny a little bit.
So it would have been in there for a year and a month, huh?
Yeah.
It is a year and a month. That is the extra month is a little odd.
Yeah, right.
For sure. December 8th.
Halo.
The only
and Bungie 30th anniversary drops.
Yeah.
And they drop in new content at that time.
It could have been just like, hey, we're gonna do this for a year. And maybe like Bungie's price went up for Witch Queen, and Xbox is like, you know what, we don't really need to meet that price because this is where people are playing Destiny now because of Game Pass. Or maybe they looked at the numbers and like, well, we didn't get as many people subscribing as we thought. Like, I don't know, like where that would work out for either one. Maybe Bungie doesn't want to put Witch Queen on Game Pass. Who knows? Maybe that's when they announce it. Maybe December 9th, you see some announcement like Witch Queen's coming to Game Pass in February.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's
the engagement.
I was just saying. I was just checking. I found the Xbox Wire post, and this is day one. Like it says November 10th, 2020.
One, right?
Yeah, going beyond Destiny 2 Beyond Light is available now with Xbox Game Pass. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Do you have the date of when the announcement was on that Xbox Wire post?
This was November 10th, 2020.
Right, which was very close to the actual release of the game. Yeah. So I wouldn't get.
They announced that Beyond Light was coming at the July.
Oh
E3
no, you're
show
right. You're right.
in 2020 because remember Sarah Bond came out there.
You're right.
We're like, what? because there were rumors at the time about maybe them acquiring Bungie.
Yes.
And then they showed up and we're like, what's Bungie doing here? And there was like, oh, we're bringing all the expansions to Game Pass, including Beyond Light when it launches this fall. So they had announced it previously in advance.
No, you're absolutely right. And like that makes sense. We got to see. This is an interesting one, but I do think the engagement is still extremely high for Destiny, quote, being one of its most deadest periods right now because it's such a long season because Witch Queen got delayed from fall to February. That there again, if you look at Xbox,
it got delayed from fall to February. Do you think that was part of what that might have been part of why that it was exiting now? Is maybe the plan was that they would have had Witch Queen in there now. Okay.
Technically, Witch Queen was supposed to launch now. It's always a fall.
I didn't know that.
September, October kind of thing. And here's the other thing. This game, in my opinion, for the hardcore, is dead right now. Not until Witch Queen. We've done all this stuff. This season is very long and extended. It's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Still in the top 10. Destiny 2 right now in game most played Xbox games. So I would be surprised if the relationship is not beneficial. Only if what Rand said is true, that either Bungie wants way too much now because they recognize their value, and Microsoft's not willing to pay and say, hey, we got Halo right now. We don't really, we could come back on you. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. But I'm sticking with my guns. I still think there's a chance as you get close to release in February.
Yeah, very interesting. Stood out to me like a sore thumb when I was going through it. Otherwise, any additions or subtractions that you guys wanted to talk about here that maybe caught your eye for Game Pass?
For me, my friend Pedro, I remember we covered that with LongNet. Seemed decent. I might check that out. And Evil Genius 2, I remember working with the devs on that and wanted to see that. I think Attic had a big interest in that when we talked to those devs. So just curious about that. Those
Rand, what about you?
I mean, nothing really stands out that I immediately want to play or am disappointed that is leaving Game Pass for me.
Yeah, for me, it's probably the cloud games that actually caught my interest a little bit. A little Dragon Age Origins on the go. Don't mind if I do. One of my favorite RPGs. And anyone hasn't played that, give it a look. Available everywhere now. So highly recommended. But nothing really calling out to me here. Kind of like I said during the What We're Playing segment, just enjoying a nice little lull, right? So much stimulation, activity. And so I'm heading into this season where I'm going to start picking up a book or two. And kind of
always sound like Rand Al Thor.
You know what I would be interested in? What? I want to know the numbers of people using cloud gaming. Right? I think that would be super interesting to see, okay, how many thousands or millions of people are logging in every day and playing these games by the cloud. I want to know how many people actually only play through the cloud if they've gotten new subscribers that way where they're in a country they weren't able to really get a console, but because if it's on phone, like I think those numbers would be super surprising and really insightful to find. Like Dragon Age Origins in the cloud, right? A great game from 2 gens ago. How many people are going to be playing that though? Right? Like these are the kind of things I think about. Like I don't know. I think it would be so cool to find out those stats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good point. I personally haven't had a ton of use in the cloud when I really think about it. I'm more of a remote play guy, so like I'll hook up the box, I'll switch the outlet to or the input, to like DirecTV. I'll put the game on and I'll like play my Xbox on my tablet. Like that's how I do it. But when it comes to like remote play, that was like the first time I think I fired up xCloud in oh my gosh, probably since I made my video on it when they like broke it out. I will say though, when it was running, Forza was looking smooth on my phone, and we're doing this on Zencaster, so it's uploading as we record. That's pretty good step forward because I know Jez was saying like it got smoother for him as he tested it out more and more.
Yeah, and just real quick because I know it's a big show, so I'll just sneak it in quick.
Please.
They just announced the Xbox Cloud gaming launches on Series X and Xbox One consoles. So pretty much the older consoles can also now, like an Xbox One, that can play the next gen titles, right? And stream it with this new feature they just announced today. So they're going all in. But I'm with Rand. I would love to see what the engagement on that is and what it
might not be because now that you bring that up, Cog, and I'm glad you did. It might not just be from the phones and tablets perspective. It's probably for the console users or the PC,
for the console,
right? Because like when Starfield, like they have a year now. Like this is way earlier than I thought. They have a year now where like Starfield, Redfall comes around. It's like okay, like Now they've worked on it. They've iterated upon it. So when those games are ready and you're an Xbox One owner still, you can give them a try and hopefully it actually runs well.
Right. And it fits in line with the plan because remember, Microsoft was very transparent, say, hey, the first year or two, we're going to still support the old system. There'll be cross-generational games, but then there will be that cutoff. And maybe that cutoff aligns with now Xbox Cloud Gaming launching. So you can say, hey, Xbox One users, you're not going to feel left behind because you can still play the medium Microsoft Flight Simulator. All these games that you can't really play on your old gen hardware, you can now stream. And I think that's the play where we might see the engagement up. And we even see the trial games now, right, Rand? Where you can stream the trial game before you play it.
What's also interesting is part of also Phil's interview with Stephen Totillo, which he just released another part of it today, was that Phil expects in the future that more people will play Xbox games via their phone than consoles.
Right. Wow.
I don't know if you guys saw that quote.
I missed that. I didn't see that.
I don't know how long into the future that would be. I would think a significant time in the future. But, he said basically by how many phones are out there, and you would expect that at some point more people would engage with Xbox games through their mobile devices, which is why I'm interested because, okay, how many people are playing on the cloud? Do we think that cloud gaming is overpriced at $15? Is there some sort of barrier for people to trying it out at $15? Maybe there should be a cheaper cloud only subscription for $5, right? I wonder how all those things kind of fit together and what Phil and the team is thinking about new tiers, pricing, how all this stuff kind of is going to be played out in the long run,
Absolutely.
No, fair enough.
Well, we still got our back compat / Game Pass pick of the week. Cog, you're up.
Bro, got to shout you out on this one because it was you. I asked you a lot of questions about this game. We're talking about Game Pass games entering. You mentioned Grub was raving about it. And then I asked you more detailed questions. And what you said, Roman and Legatus and, the Lords are built off of that. Lord this and all that empire. Bro, Forgotten City, man. I really enjoyed it. I went to just try it for an hour, see how I felt about it, and then you make that business decision. All right, am I going to invest? I got thoroughly addicted to this game. Let me explain something to y'all. I'm so glad it came to Game Pass because I would have never bought this game, to be honest.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have known about it just within the platform. Yeah, exact. $3.99, make it easy. But what I like about it is that I'm gonna be real. We know we did the spoilercast and stuff on 12 minutes and all that stuff, right? I like this new enthusiasm for these time loop games, but this is how you do it.
Okay. That's what I want to hear.
Game
all right, good.
Does it the correct way. The problem I have with 12 minutes, Rand, me and you talked about this, is they don't respect when you start figuring it out and then you having to keep doing the minutia over and over and over to get to the main steps, right? And what I like about this, the writing is so well done. And it basically respects your knowledge of what's happening. So the long and short of it, Roman civilization, you're like this archaeologist kind of guy. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you love Greek Roman mythology, if you love any of that lore stuff, the gods and all that, this is the game for you. Right. Engine is solid. It has some of the best writing and character development going. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is earned. Once you get farther and you realize what's happening, you know what I'm saying? It is really earned. I highly recommend this game. It is one of those games that, unlike 12 minutes, that when I beat it, I got a so-so ending. And I was like, damn. And I was looking at the achievement list, Rand. I was like, this is so good. I need to go back. And I just made a couple of more changes to what I was doing and then got the correct ending. And the game rewards you with one of the most well done canon endings, you know what I'm saying, that I've seen in a video game. So well done. I can't talk about it too much because it's going to really spoil. But all I would say, it's a Roman time period. And the rule is, the curse of many, the sins of many affects the others. So it's based off a Skyrim mod.
Yeah. That's what I found interesting about it. Yeah. So
basically, how Skyrim, you can steal. If you do anything, you can blow up the time loop, and basically you can't sin. And you got to stop everybody else, these characters, from sinning and realizing who's going to do whatever. Bro, it is so Well done. If you have time, play this game. Forgotten City.
One question for you, Cog. How long is
Let's
it?
go. I would say I put about, it's not super long. I would say about 10 to 12.
Really? That's a lot longer than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, it's about to, now again, you can skip, you can beeline and try to do stuff, but
we don't want to do that.
No, you can't, not with this. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing is, okay, like there's a lot of, thank God you can skip some dialogue because some stuff gets repetitive for a little bit, like most games. But this is a special one. They got one, man. I can't wait for their next project. Please check this out if you have
This will
time.
be a game I play. I'll play it before the year's out because I've hearing what Grubb said on it, and then your kind of strong vote of approval. I want to make sure it's considered for my personal game of the year conversation, and because I always treat that as just an opportunity to put games on the map that people haven't heard of. And this is one that I think has flown under the radar. It looked really cool. I like the idea it's based off a mod, and now it's in Game Pass. It's like, okay, I can just go download it, give this a shot. So I think within the next week or two, this will be done.
Also, some minor exploration vibes that are really cool. Some tension, a little horror, a little dark places and stuff. Like, it's not just some point click. Like, it is first person you moving around.
Okay, so I was thinking like walking sim in my head, and I'm sure it's mostly that, but it sounds like
it's mostly. But there's a little combat. It's not like it's Skyrim-ish. You know what I'm saying? But like, there's things you could do, but really manipulate the world and the corruption and all the fun. It's so good. It's fun. Check it out when you
cool. Absolutely looking forward to that. That'll be a fun playthrough, I think. All right, we have 5 final questions to wrap this show up. So let's start it off with Mark Ring. Gentlemen, writing you from my beautiful hometown of Halifax, Nova Scotia. Shout out to all my Canadian gamers and devs making an impact in the space. My question to you, legends, is this. With Xbox celebrating their heritage this week, I, on the other hand, have invested in a Series X for the projected future. Personally, Starfield is the reason I got invested. So what game are you 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, if there are guests, looking forward to most in the near or distant future? Thanks for the great content. I listen all the time now and recommend the show whenever I can. Have a fantastic week. P.S. Happy 20th Xbox, and here's to another 20. Very kind of you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Salute.
So what's the future, gents? Rand, what are you looking to?
What's Rand excited
about? I'm still looking forward to Halo Infinite's campaign. I mean, we still got some time for that.
Yes.
But for next year,
what you excited?
I mean, God of War, bro. Like, I know that's not Xbox related, but I would be remiss to not mention that right now that is my number one most anticipated game.
Else, man. I really do. I think it's a great game, but I wish I was like on that. This is generation defining grind like everyone else.
I mean, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best game that came out in 2018. That award stands to I would give to Red Dead Redemption 2, but God of War is a pretty close 1B. I'm actually quite looking forward to Redfall. I love Arcane. I love everything they do. So and Starfield. Like, I saw some of the concept art. I am, I think I mentioned last time I was here, not a Fallout fan or not a big Fallout fan. Like, I like, just
see Matty face.
I know he already knows this. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Fallout, but I do really like Elder Scrolls. So I don't know. I do like sci-fi stuff. So Starfield might really hit my my thing I'm really looking forward to. As for Beyond, it's all about Hellblade 2, bro. It's all about Hellblade. I loved Hellblade 1 so much.
Yeah, me too.
So that is something that I need to see more of that game, and hopefully we will see it at the VGAs.
Right on.
But that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Cog?
Good stuff. Good choice. Hard to top that. Starfield. It's Starfield. It's sci-fi, man. You throw sci-fi, you throw Bethesda A-Team.
Yeah.
Todd got me invigorated. God Howard invigorated me again when we were talking about it. Shout out to him. Can't wait to see him come out with the brown leather jacket, talk about it some more. And then, I'm Team Obsidian, but Avowed because, sadly, it's going to be a while before we get Elder Scrolls. So Avowed is going to, I'm dying to know Obsidian's take on that genre. And, Jazz started describing the spells. And so those two, but yeah, Starfield especially because sci-fi is my heart, man. And I'm dying to know what that is with that universe. But those are mine. Hellblade is a given. Like, I'm not even worried about Hellblade. Like, it's weird. Like I'm just like, Ninja Theory going to kill it. The template's there. You can't mess that up. It's the best use of sound. And I know it's going to answer the AAA budget graphical fidelity thing that some people may have. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not. Yeah, what you think?
No, I think I was just gonna say I think they're Xbox is Naughty Dog in the making. Like I think they just got that perfectionist attitude to them that
yes,
they'll do an excellent job. I'm with you. I have this, even though they've made. I mean, I love that they made DMC Devil May Cry. A lot of people hate that game. I thought it was one of the best DMC games. I'm sorry. Like I know that's a really hot take. I thought it was a really extremely fun game to play. Now you're hitting them a AAA budget after they made this tight game with Hellblade 1, and they're going to have all this money. Because the combat in Hellblade 1 wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, it was not mechanically deep. So now knowing they can take that, I think Hellblade 2, man, yeah, like that's one on my list. Of course, everyone knows for me, Starfield, but I'll go on in a second. Cog, I did cut you off.
No, I'm finished. Okay. Go, please go.
Yeah, of course, Starfield. I obviously, I don't think it demands much explanation, but, it's just... I love BGS. I feel they've fallen off the path a little bit in the last about half a decade with Fallout 4 to a lesser extent. As much as I do love that game, it's not that true, deep BGS game that has that charm. Because when I pick that game up, right, just to get a little more detail, when I pick that game up, it doesn't give me the same magic that a Fallout 3 did, an Oblivion does, a Skyrim does. It gives me a magic of a time personally for me in my career. And that's different from what the game actually provides. Like it reminds me, I think of the podcasts, I think of the videos I made, the community hype, but I don't think of the moments in the game. And that's a huge differentiator from those other three I mentioned. So with 76 following it up, they got their bullshit out of their system, I feel. Like Starfield is the chance at one, redemption for people to remember, put some respect on the name who was making the greatest of all time open world RPGs for generations. I want them to come back because with CD Projekt Red, they were getting shit on because CD Projekt Red made one very good game. And then I also thought they made The Witcher 2, which was very good. But a lot of people were quick to turn their backs on Bethesda Game Studios. And understandably so. I want to see them win back the crown, though. I think they're hungry. I think they're a little pissed. And I like that. I love that they're in this position because I want to see them fight and earn people back, right? So, of course, Starfield's there. But Hellblade 2 is honestly, out of everything else, that's really top of my list, I think. I think that's kind of the... I think it's really what Rand was saying on the level, or I'm sorry, it was UCOG, who, delivering on that graphical fidelity. I don't know if it'll be open world or not, but it just what Ninja Theory does is so finely crafted. And I know they're just going to take their time with it. There's a reason why when they revealed it at the Game Awards, they've just been dead silent since. No updates, no talk on it. So that's one I'm very, very much looking forward to. Avowed is, to me, almost a unknown and known quantity. Like I know Obsidian produces excellent hub-based games. I thought The Outer Worlds was one of the best of the last generation. However, we are going back and forth based off Jez's report. Is it open world? Is it hub-based? Right. We don't know. And I think that's going to be a defining factor for me because if it's hub-based, top of the list. Top of the list. Now you got a AAA hub-based game from Obsidian. And that's going to be nuts, right? Like I think of, we talked about earlier, I think of Alpha Protocol and it's like, what's it like if you have a budget? You look at The Outer Worlds, it's like, okay, they were clearly tight on a budget, but they were very meticulous in crafting this game, right? So I'm just excited to see if they are making this hub-based game in a not brand new world, but a new IP within a world that already exists. What exactly that will look like. So that's another one that could shoot to the top of my list. If it's open world, I gotta be honest, like I'm still gonna be very, 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 very excited to lay my hands on Avowed because Obsidian Skyrim sounds incredibly tantalizing, but it'll bring me down a notch because Obsidian to me is like the choice studio. They do choice expertly. And just when you throw an open world in there, I'm sorry, but by default, it significantly lowers the impact you as a player can have. So that's what I'm hoping for there. So that's kind of like if it is what I want, up to the top of the list it goes. But there's so much you could pick from. I also want to shout out Contraband. I think Sea of Thieves isn't for me, but the idea of I love Payday, for example. Payday is a really good time. You get your friends together, steal some stuff. I love games where you can be a thief. I don't know. Like I enjoyed one thing I liked about that shitty 2014 Thief reboot was, you could just crawl into an apartment and you're like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this. I put the work in on Thief Simulator. I love Dishonored. I love Arcane's games because you can interact with stuff. I love BGS games because you can pick up stuff. I just love being a thief in games. I don't know how.
Shout out to Matty. We'll get his thief.
There was a time when I was in second grade. I was stealing bobbleheads. So
Jesus,
I know. I was stealing the cereal. I doubt if anyone knows this. There were like cereal boxes that came with these little like Pedro Martinez and Derek Jeter. Yeah, bro. The school store had one. I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and just as I walk by, you swipe it real quick. Yeah, I don't know why.
Statutes and limitations is up, gentlemen.
Look, I was very young at the time.
He was young.
My mom,
he's a reformed man.
It cost a dime, right? And so my mom found out, and she forced me to take the dime and put it there. She's like, you're paying for that. Yeah, so I don't know, man. But anyway, I like being a thief. It probably goes back deeper than that.
Bro,
I'm excited for
the comments with Matty, Thief Matty is lit. Gonna be lit next episode.
I intentionally put it 3 hours deep. No one will find it. But yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. I could go on.
No doubt.
Just Okay Jeremy's our next write-in. Hey, Duke boys. I have this theory in my head that Xbox will be releasing an Elite Series 3 controller next year that will include various features found in DualSense, such as adaptive triggers, more intensive haptic feedback, etc. I think it'd be cool if Xbox took it one step further and allowed you to design it yourself through the design lab. What features would you boys like to see in the new Elite controller? Have a 343 releasing Halo Infinite multiplayer 3 weeks early. Kinda day.
That's a great day then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A rare wish indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on the train that I do think a Series 3 will happen at some point, and I do think some sort of haptics or adaptive triggers will be added, because you look at the MPD that Matt Piscatella drops every single month on Twitter, like the Elites are always like top selling accessory. Even still to this day, and they're.
I didn't know that.
I think $150 or whatever they are.
Oh, yeah. They're killing it with controllers.
So, yeah, like you have the Halo one that came out. Shout out to Cog. I can see there in the background, right there, chilling. There's the controller.
The Duke.
Treat yourself for your birthday, right?
Real quick,
that's right. Got my $200 accessory that I can see in game inside Halo Infinite.
Seeing your Duke just remind me. Mine still hasn't come in.
Oh, yeah. Bro, what is going on?
I got scammed on eBay, man. I went Rand Al cheap with it, sold for $20, and I was like,
Rand Al cheap. We're not starting this.
Yes, we are starting it.
Bring it in, Hyperkin right there. Like, I'm gonna get this one, and then I should have known better. So I lost $20 on it anyway.
Bro, we got to get it before Brian McCaffrey comes back.
I know.
I do think, I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after, but like, what could you do for an Elite Series 3 that you already didn't do with the Series 2? To me, the thing that stands out is, haptic feedback. Something you could add that maybe even boost the price up to like $200, right? Yeah. So you can even sell it for, but then, because me and Jez have talked about this on Xbox too. He doesn't think they're going to do it because, none of the games are going to support it.
Right.
Because most systems sold are going to have regular controller, and they're not going to be many Elites out there. But I'm like, well, people already know that the Elite controllers, they don't really have the best build quality, right? And can they get away doing it for a third time without any significant improvements in that area, or significant improvements, or an addition that somebody really wants? Like, because they added, I remember with this one, the Elite Series 2, they added like 60 new features. And maybe what do they do for this one to be like, okay, besides having like the share button where it should be, like, what do you add to this one so you can sell it for a third time? Maybe a turbo button, which this one doesn't have, but it's like haptics that makes a lot of sense. I don't know, like maybe I'm completely wrong, but I just kind of feel that like they're gonna do one in the future, and that's gonna be the thing they hang their hat on.
Yeah, it's a tough one to figure out, because, like you said, the business side says, do you put that in, you have to make something new to differentiate and make a Elite Part 3, and haptic makes the most sense, right? It does. DualSense, all those features, and they did have out an internal survey. Remember, we found out about that survey saying that they, asking how much people like it and all this stuff. So we know they're thinking about it. My only question, it almost reminds me of a connect type situation. Like, how much do you invest in a peripheral that the masses don't all have, unless you make a lower barrier of entry version, kind of like how they did with the headset.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they got the wireless headset, then they got the Rand Al cheaper version of the joint with the wire. You know what I'm saying? Because they got to get you on your base. You know what I'm saying? Well, mess with you, but you know I love it. But at the end of the day, it's like maybe they do the 2-prong approach, and they've been doing 2-prong a lot with Series S, Series X. Like, everything's low end premium. So maybe that's the way. Because I think if they just do the big version, then you're gonna alienate so many people. And what developers are really gonna put that into the game when such a low percentage have it? But it's a good question. I think they're thinking about it, but it's a good question. About what you think?
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this because I'm not crazy about the Elite Series controllers. I never owned one, so that's probably why. Also, though, I kind of have a weird perspective. I would say that I don't feel too crazy about the adaptive triggers. In fact, I find them kind of annoying when I use my PlayStation. Like when I was playing Resident Evil 8, I kept them on because I was like, maybe this is a part of the experience, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't. I know what they were going for. I would rather Xbox do it this way, though, and make it additive because I wouldn't want it. But I understand why other people would. So for me, if they add it, they add it. But if not, I don't think it's that much of a game changer. I do like, however, the more precise rumbles of the PlayStation DualSense. I think that to me was a bigger game changer because nowadays I feel like games just go like and just like try to shake my whole body with the controller, and I'm like, okay, vibration, cool. It's like there's no target for them. There's no goal for it. It's just like explosion in all years. I can't stand it, man. I think vibration in games could be so annoying because we're so numb to it and we don't notice it. But I pay attention to it because it's feel it. It's a sense, you do. I like how PlayStation. It's like a softer vibration. Sometimes it's just the right side, then you feel it trickling over. The sound coming out of it. Yeah, Astrobot's still the top tier example. Yeah, man. They've got something with it. Just for me, the adaptive triggers aren't what I was most crazy about. But initially out of the box, that was a cool feature to have. But I don't think it's got that staying power, at least in my eyes. I could be wrong.
Fair enough.
Lee Doherty's up next. Hey, Dukes, after Forza Horizon 5 success, I wanted to know your expectations for Playground's Fable reboot. Can they pull off making a very different game? Will the open world mechanics in Horizon 5 help them with Fable, or is it maybe a bad fit for them? Thanks as always for the great work and full-on psychic powers of prediction. Thank you, Lee. You know, it's funny. I want to take the lead on this one, if you don't mind, because I just played Fable Anniversary this week for a retro rebound video. Nice. When I was going back there, I was reminded of the structure of the game and how well I think it's going to fit if Fable were to come back as this open world game, like I think it will through Playground. Because, you know, you go through the whole intro of the game, the guild, you become the hero, or obviously if you want, the villain. And then you have this guild table that just has a list of quests that you accept. And they're like, go out and either defend Orchard Farm or attack it with the bandits. And I feel like that approach is sort of what we're going to see in the next Fable game is you're going to join the guild. You're going to have this table here. You're going to have a list of quests that you can go through, except instead of in Fable Anniversary, you walk out and it's a bunch of little hub areas stitched together. You're going to get like this full-on open world that you can walk to that farm and you can defend it or you can attack it. And the mission plays out much more differently. Whereas in Anniversary, it was subtle. Like that's what I'm hoping for personally. But I think just going back to Anniversary reminded me of, we can almost have that Halo Infinite effect where when you look at Combat Evolved and then you look at Halo Infinite, you can see Infinite in a lot of ways. It's almost what Bungie imagined, say the second level in the Halo Combat Evolved campaign, like on a broad scale. And I'm thinking maybe with Fable, you see what Lionhead did back in 2005, and you bring it all the way to probably 2023, 18 years later. And I think they may try the same thing. That's kind of the vibe I got. And again, this is just a gut feeling because I feel like the concept that you could kind of one-to-one that in a design pitch and be like, here's what we're going to do, but it's open world. But I feel pretty confident in them after Forza Horizon 5. I thought, if I could like Forza Horizon 5, then you've got a really good developer there. And my only worry is, again, I love Fable because it's like a great baby's first RPG. It's like good, evil, very simplified choices, but the charm the writing. There's a depth there that's not like KOTOR levels. It's not Divinity Original Sin levels, but it's there. And I think if they keep it simple, it should be good, but I'm just afraid they'll stray from that, because that to me is like the defining feature of Fable. It's like good and evil, and the world responds to it. You walk by people if you're evil and they boo you, they thumbs you down. I love that shit, man. Like, give me that type of responsiveness, because that's what was great about Fable. Yeah, it was condensed, but it felt so good to play because the world actually truly responded to your character and your level of attractiveness and the life sim stuff. So they got I think, a tough act to follow, but I think they'll do a good job.
Rand, what we thinking?
Well, it's man, to go from a car game to an open world RPG is definitely going to be interesting to see if they can manage.
Sure.
Because one thing you kind of talked about it, Cog, earlier was if they're gonna do that, they better hope their character animations and the way their characters look are much better than they are in Forza Horizon. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the budget went there on the character creator because they couldn't do it for Forza.
Yeah. And I think if they nail Fable, I think you could put them in the upper echelon of game developers. Like, you have Forza Horizon, which is the top of the genre for racing, and if you somehow also do the same for Fable, you're one of the best studios out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing what it looks like myself. Those jungles look really cool in Forza Horizon 5. Sometimes when I'm driving around in the game, I just want to get out and explore, right?
Yeah.
So I really just want to see what the game looks like and what it plays like. That'll give us a better expectation for, if we think the game is going to be good or not.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like what I think I saw somebody Playground post like 4 years on Fable or whatever. And it was like, man, they've been working on this game for a long time. And I still don't think we're going to see it for another 3 years. Right?
Yeah. It's funny. Guerrilla Games made me a believer in the transition process, right?
Yes,
they really
it's funny you said that. Me too.
I remember, man, dude, I would have been all over Twitter on your feeds if I was running an Xbox podcast saying the shit I said about Horizon Zero Dawn before it came out. I remember it was me, Lone Carrick, and I was sitting there screeching, going like, this shit's going to be a 70 on Metacritic. They can't transition. I was disrespecting Guerrilla Games.
Shout out that Killzone steak action.
Yeah, I liked Killzone, but I was like, you cannot go from first-person shooter, these tight corridors, to open world, third-person, new universe. They did a good job. They did a really good job. And I said it right in my review. First line, I was like, my foot is in my mouth, right, with this one.
Respect.
But yeah, I ever since then, that's what made me a believer in the transition. It's like, okay, clearly these folks are way more talented than I gave them credit for. And there is a knowledge of just general game development that maybe those fresh ideas spark something where they can make that transition.
Yeah. I don't have really too much to add. You guys are hardcore Fable. I want them to respect the essence of it, right? And I also, because I love the fact that they are a British studio, so that they got to get the charm, because a lot of the Fable base needs the charm. They need that. And like I said, the morality stuff, it is what it is. But yeah, Forza Horizon graphical prowess, the engine, all that stuff gives me confidence from an engine standpoint that the game will be fine. It's just, to me, the essence of what the game is, they got to nail it. And to Rand's point, it may be a while, but I'm curious. And I will say this: if they pull this off, we really got to start looking at hierarchy. Absolutely. As far as studios. And I would have to admit, because if they say, just a real quick question, if they pull this off and this is a critically acclaimed game with Fable, with Playground, where do you now have them in Xbox Game Studio hierarchy?
They're number one. If they pull off Fable and they're still doing Forza Horizon, they're number one easily.
Yeah. I think I would. It's hard to argue, and I'm an Obsidian. It would be hard. What about you, Matty? If they pull it off, and it's a critically acclaimed Fable.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it'd be fair to put them in the top. I feel like by that point we'll also have a better view of Obsidian, where they'd almost be going for, if let's say Obsidian nails it, they'd be kind of going for their throne. Where they might be, in my eyes, if Obsidian, let's say they nail Pentiment, Grounded already is pretty solid. They nail Avowed. Let's say they got that trifecta down.
Always going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, I was
them.
going to say, I feel like they
be.
might end up second in command in my eyes. But
okay, fair enough.
They're definitely top three. I mean, they're already a top studio for them, but I think that sort of sets them in the space of what do they do next now, right? Like that's do you do another Fable? Do you do a new IP? Do you give them again? I am big on the idea that Xbox needs to like tap Disney on the shoulder, get something going there. Yeah. Do you do something with that? That would be really cool. But like make them do a new episode 1 racer.
Whoa, that'd be fine. And real quickly, I know I'm on off topic. I just got to ask. I've never asked both of you this. So, Matty, top 3 ranking Xbox Game Studios right now.
Oh, man.
On the spot. Let's go.
Right now.
Let's go. Right now. Who's the top 3? Right now.
Across all of Xbox Game Studios. I mean,
do
I get to dip into Bethesda here? Or is this, we're talking like they're doing exclusive.
This is your personal list.
So is this like what they've done with Xbox or just like, are we taking their entire history?
Everything.
Because now, because if we're taking their entire history, then I think one's Arcane.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was going back and forth between BGS and Arcane, but I think Arcane would be my number 1 as well for sure.
And then,
but isn't that count underneath the umbrella, or that don't count? That y'all doing separate with ZeniMax? How y'all treating that? Y'all treating them as an individual.
So is the question like because the Game Awards separated like Xbox / Bethesda right as the top. Yeah. So is it? Do you want like okay? Who's the top out of the top 15 Xbox Game Studios as separately than Bethesda, or do you want them all in a list?
I would like Bethesda to be included.
Okay, well then it's Arcane.
Okay,
and then it's probably id.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll.
You're separating, but okay, I see what you're doing. You okay? I was thinking that wouldn't you put that all underneath the umbrella?
All 23, yeah.
And then third would maybe be Coalition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd probably.
What you got, Matty? I'm curious.
If we're talking legacy, BGS has to be in there, but their last 5 years haven't been good. Where I can't put them realistically in a top dev right now. Like I think
that's where I got them right there. They gotta earn it back for me, but they legends.
Yeah, it's the thing. They're legendary, but the kids got to come back. So I'm going Arcane. I think Arcane's an easy number 1 for me. I think they just their level of consistent quality, like the fact that Deathloop is a game that, while I wasn't a fan of it, their worst game to me was a decent game. Says something about their studio a lot. And when you look at their level of consistency across the releases, they're an easy number 1. Number 2, I'm feeling Coalition. I feel like they've really done a good job there. Again, I played all the Gears games at the start of this year because I had missed 5, but I had played 4. I remember really, really, really liking that. They did play a little bit safe on the return. I was like, wow, they're pretty conservative with this one. But I get it, right? I think they treated the series as a new studio should have, where Halo 4 was a little more liberated and went a little too crazy with it. I think they did a good job, and then 5, they really made it their own. And so I think Coalition does not get enough scratches on its back for how much they did for Xbox overall. Man, it sucks because some of the IP that I really like, Xbox doesn't own, like Ori with Moon Studios would have been an easy one for me. Sunset Overdrive with Insomniac, and they're studios that don't work with Xbox anymore. Well, not Moon Studios, but you get my point. They don't own them, but I would have easily picked Moon Studios with Ori. Like, I don't know, can I do that as an option? Because I think like they're not first party, but my God, man, they do such good work. I always sit down for Ori. I love that game artistically, animation. The kind of storytelling vibes that they got there with the emotion that's packed into these characters that really aren't speaking. Really special games, and you could only find them on Xbox for a while. I remember my excitement for Blind Forest was unfathomable. Like I know it's not a game people match me up with, but it was one of the reasons I bought Xbox One. I was big on Ori, so I got to cheat a little bit. I feel like what Moon Studios brings, if Xbox can find a way to bring them in, man, because I don't know if I'd be lying otherwise. Like I don't know if I feel passionately about, like, I would put Playground Games in the top 3, but they're as famously.
Until they, I got you. There's just been the races, so until they show you.
Obsidian's there, of course, but like Obsidian just did the Outer Worlds and like recently Grounded. So I really want to cheat a little bit and throw Moon Studios in there.
That's fine. It's your personal list.
Playground would be like 4 or 5 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because when you add the Bethesda teams in there, it's like, who, like
I know.
I mean,
that does throw like a monkey wrench in a lot of
yeah.
stuff.
If we're
right?
talking legacy, it's BGS Arcane id for me. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'll
my
tell you,
top
I'll
three.
tell you.
They got a score with Bethesda there.
I feel you. I'm cheating. I throw them. I'm putting them all in ZeniMax box, and I was like ZeniMax. So I mean, I got them. I got to put Coalition just out of respect and carrying Xbox on their back, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And the graphical fidelity, all they've been doing. I am going to put my Obsidian in there. I am going to put them in there. I think, you know what I'm saying? They them dudes. And yeah, then it is. But honorable mention, obviously, Playground is honorable mention. And then, who am I forgetting? I forget. One more. Oh, my dog, Ninja Theory. I still think that first title with Hellblade was so epic.
Yeah.
That what they can do, I'm super pumped. But it's just a fuck. I'm sorry to divert. I always wanted to ask.
Well, where is Halo, or where is 343? Like, are they like way down on the list? And with Halo Infinite's release, like, are they creeping back up the list now, Cog? You know what I'm saying?
Infinite plays really well. They've got one here, but they've got a long road to claw their way back. We're talking like campaign needs to nail it, then the expansions need to nail it, and then the battle pass needs to not suck ass. And then I'm telling you, like they have a long ways to go in my eyes.
Yeah, they're in. Someone just get out of jail, they try to reform their life. Like that's 343 to me. Like I never forgave them for Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
That was a slam dunk at the Xbox One. That was an automatic W that you fumbled at the start of the generation to get goodwill. I remember people saying they're going to buy Xbox One, and they were PlayStation guys for that game.
Was disastrous.
And it destroyed them. Like, that was bad, bro. So they're now playing catch up. They changed their life. Their record's been clean a little bit for a while.
They're just, in my eyes, though, they're just not a well-run studio. I don't know how else to put it. Like, you hear about the delays with Infinite, which clearly happened. Yeah. You see what happened with Halo 5, where they had to rewrite the story and the ramifications of that. You see Halo Master Chief Collection, how they fucked that one up. They're not well managed in my eyes. That's the problem there. And it wasn't until Joe Staten came in that it seemed like
come back steady hand. And its multiplayer is hitting and it's fire, no doubt. But you're gonna need at least a game or two more before I can start thinking about you in the upper.
MCC now, excellent. Man, it's got Reach in there with the ST in there. You love to see it, but man, they still have a long way to go because that was fucked at launch.
Exactly. Reform.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, what else we got?
We got Neo JD here. Double D's. I'm writing this after the Game Awards nominees have been announced, and while there still weren't any real surprises, it's worth mentioning that Xbox leads the charge with 20 noms as a publisher, spearheaded by Arcane's Deathloop. Hold on. For some reason, my iPad's been glitching out, so I'm missing part of this write-up.
I got you.
I got it right here. Sure, it's a PS5 game for now, but how do you guys feel about Xbox's ability to publish going forward? Is their collection of studios simply too big for anyone to compete with on numbers alone? Will they keep leading the charge, or will Sony bounce back next year by putting out more content? The quality versus quantity battle makes award season very interesting.
Next year is going to be tough for Xbox because Sony is going to have two big heavy hitters, God of War and Horizon, that are probably going to be nominated for virtually every award they're up for. Starfield will probably get its fair share of nominations if we think it's going to be good. I can't really see Redfall. I don't know, like, as much as I'm looking forward to Redfall, I just don't think it's going to hit the like Deathloop did for critics, right?
Yeah.
So I think next year might be a lull for Xbox game studios and Bethesda, but I think the 2023 and beyond will be much better. But I think PlayStation is going to have a monumental year next year. I mean, that's not assuming Gran Turismo 7 also comes out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Forspoken, I think, is supposed to launch, and that's a 2-year exclusive. I know, I don't know if you would consider that like a PlayStation.
Yeah.
But you probably wouldn't. That's just a, timed exclusive. But still, like, you can only play, you can also play it on PC. Never mind. But, they got a lot of games next year. So, I mean, I think we'll see more Game of the Year nominees for Xbox start up. And I mean, do you guys think Starfield is like a shoe-in for Game of the Year next year? Because Matty, when you look at it in COG, right, like we know the date for Starfield, right? 11/11/22. I really do think Forza's November 9th date really kind of hurt it.
Let's just call it what it is. It's the Game Awards first 10 months of the year Game of the Year award.
but I'm thinking to myself, okay, Starfield's in, right? I really kind of, but like now I'm thinking like, well, it's 11/11. How early are they going to give out review codes to reviewers? Like, is there a chance Starfield just doesn't make it in next year?
I can totally see that situation happening. I could totally see a Jedi Fallen Order type situation happening. And I mean, it will make it. It won't be completely missed. It'll probably be in the mix, but Game of the Year, based on what we know and the criteria, how they've been judging, I would be shocked. And in fairness, though, I don't want to just completely go in on them. In fairness, like what you said is the valid point. PlayStation's going to have a monster year next year. Like, we're not going to discredit that. Like, those are heavy. Like, we know right now, the fall of 2021, Xbox got this for the most part with this deluge of Forza and then the Game Pass since October on through. And then they've had a solid year, Psychonauts and Microsoft Flight Sim. Microsoft had a strong 2021 to round out an entire year. Next year, I think PlayStation definitely starts to compete. And we don't know outside of Starfield what else is really cooking that's major. So yeah, I think I'm with you, Rand, on short term, but on long term, they gotta watch. Sony's gonna have to watch out with that deluge of content and studio games, just the releases. They could get overwhelmed if they're not careful, because even though their games are quality, there's that gap between these big blockbusters that they do. And if Microsoft keeps putting out 85 to whatever, high 80s or low 90s games, it can start to get overwhelming. It's a fun little, not say debate, but it's a fun thing to watch what happens with these game releases. What do you think, man?
Yeah, because I think what's interesting about Xbox is, like Rand was saying, when you hit that 2023 and you start to see their releases begin rolling, you can suddenly switch the battle from quality versus quantity to quality and quantity versus whatever PlayStation's doing. And I think there's something there that is worth being aware of if you're PlayStation, where they don't have as many studios as Xbox, so they can't just meet that quantity need eventually. And if Xbox can get the quality front down, they're absolutely going to meet quantity, especially with Game Pass. What's interesting about 2022 is right now we're kind of looking at a year where, it looks like we got Redfall, Starfield, we got some indies in there, Stalker 2, a little console exclusivity. But beyond that, it looks like Xbox might have an empty year. But what's really cool about 2022 is there's so much announced, there's so much we don't know about. So we were talking about like Project Belfry, for example, and so many others. And I know so much of Xbox's stuff is leaked, but there's third-party deals that can occur. There's day one Game Pass deals that can occur that I think fill in those gaps in different ways, which is why I like Xbox. It's like, you're not always looking for the next exclusive. I'm looking for what's the next big Game Pass drop. I'm looking for day one stuff, which feels like an Xbox exclusive to me, because I get the benefits on my platform before others, and I don't have to pay a dime for it. I can just download it. I can preload it. That's great. That's a great feeling as a consumer. So I look at things a little bit differently there. As for my confidence in them as a publisher going forward, I think they're earning the trust back. They had a rough couple of years, but I think 2020 and then 2021 minus the medium, they've had a pretty consistent quality here. They've done a really good job making sure when their games come out, they are noticed and that they are above the cut a little bit more, and that their participation is making, these games that they're working with better. I look at Wasteland 3, Psychonauts 2, like they're making these games better. And that's also really important. So I'm feeling confident in them moving forward. But I think they have, to me, they're sniffing that territory, but they really have to start doing like banger, 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 like PlayStation is doing. That's when they'll get there. But I think they're getting close to knocking on the door a little bit. But I think they got a ways to go. Last question of a very long episode. Thank you to those sitting down with us still. James over writes, "Hey Dukes, just a quick shout out to Matty, first time commenting on a Duke post, but I've been subbed to you since your Fallout 4 wishlist videos back in the good old voice days." Yeah, right, when I didn't do camera or anything like that.
Absolutely.
I know a lot will be talking about Halo this week, but I want to talk about GTA's remasters. Did people expect too much from these? I'm not trying to defend Rockstar, but I've played San Andreas since I was a kid, and I'm going to enjoy the remaster on Game Pass. I didn't expect the world going in, just a more polished version of the game I enjoy. Did too many people think that these were going to get the remake treatment like Mafia? I might have lower expectations as I was never buying this at full price, but that's the charm of Game Pass. So, gents, just to wrap this up real quick, what are you thinking about where James is at on GTA remasters? Was the public expectation too much? Because these are getting review bombs. They're looking pretty rough. And out of all the games that did get remastered, it looks like Xbox kind of got the cream of the crop. For better or for worse, with GTA San Andreas, which seems less broken than GTA 3 and Vice City. But overall, this game has been delisted. Off of PC, off their Rockstar Games launcher, which is the only way you could play it on PC. Wow. And again, the review bombs, the rain opacity is terrible. It could give you a seizure. It's like not even an exaggeration. It's just horrible. This game is a wreck. So do you think expectations were too high for what Rockstar was about to deliver, or really Grove Street games?
Right.
I mean, when they didn't show gameplay until the day before, I knew they were hiding it. I don't know. Like, I never expected much from these, to be honest with you. Like, I was just like, man, these are old ass games. And they're not doing a remake like Mafia, which if they were, oh my God, I'd be all over it. Because I had never played Mafia 1, and it was just like, okay, this is like a brand new game to me.
Yeah.
It looks modern, plays modern, but like we all knew how Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City and San Andreas played and looked like. And the thing is, this is Rockstar. This isn't some fly-by-night company, right? This isn't some indie developer. This is freaking Rockstar, who makes billions of dollars on Grand Theft Auto Online by selling shark cards to people, right? If there's anybody that could actually splurge and spend money to hire somebody to actually create a really good remaster for their, for their trilogy, for their history, it's Rockstar. And the fact that it seemed like they were Rand Al cheap on this, where they're like, hey, here's $10, get it done for us, right? I don't know. Like, I sort of feel like I don't think people were expecting the world, but I think it's hard to say that they overpromised because they didn't really talk too much about it, but they definitely underdelivered.
Yeah.
And I think people, plus, like, you had to buy all of them. You couldn't, like, individually buy maybe, like, hey, I just want Vice City. Let me spend $20 and get it. Instead, like, I got to buy all of them for $60. So I think that's where some of the disappointment, and then you see the comparison screenshots and it's like, how did this end up looking worse? I don't know, man. Like, I think it has a lot to do with Rockstar itself. Like, there's one company that could have spent a lot of money to make these things look great. It's them, and they just didn't care.
Cog, what about you?
I want to actually defer to you first because you guys played it. I didn't play
I didn't play it.
I didn't play it.
Oh, I thought you guys played it because I was just like, I wasn't doing it.
Yeah,
but Rand hit all the major points. It's disappointing from a baseline standpoint that the bare minimum wasn't hit, that it's this disappointing. Like, that's a bit surprising to me because, let's be honest, this made Rockstar. Like, these games made Rockstar. Then you look at, the Grand Theft Auto Online and the constant hand over fist money they make year after year after year. And this is the effort. And I don't want to, disrespect this dev. I don't know them. Was it Grove Street, whatever? It's a terrible look. Yeah. With your reputation and your prestige in history, you can't put out a product like that. You just can't.
To me, sorry, go on, please.
No. I was just gonna say it just feels money grabbish, and I don't know what happened. But you guys,
I was just gonna say, I think the worst part of it all is that at Take-Two, notoriously, they are aggressive, and so what they did was took out the modders, took out the classic versions of the game, and then put this on the market under the confidence of it's Rockstar, don't worry.
Right.
And they dropped this piece of shit. And that's what kind of annoys me is they strong arm their consumers so much, man. So much. It's mob-like in a way. And with this, I don't think anyone's expectations were out of control. There was a general consensus when they finally showed the trailer and the screenshots, like, oh, this looks a little bit cleaner than I thought. And in some areas, it looked a little weird, but that was to be expected. The rain, though, I mean, to me, that's like a, what?
That's
yeah,
bad.
what is this, man? Like, that's, I never thought that GTA would be like the cyberpunk level of broken. I really, truly didn't expect it. And maybe this is what it felt like for Cyberpunk fans, because I was on the inside of Cyberpunk, so I was tracking everything. With GTA, I didn't even get involved in video coverage. I was just like, I don't even like Rockstar that much anyway, so you can go. I don't care, right? Like, you guys can go suffer. Because they've made one game that I'm just like about, really. And otherwise, it's like, yeah, they make good open world games, and I know what they mean to people. But they've been really riding their prestige and their street cred for a while, in my opinion, while making really shitty decisions for their fans. Yeah, they made Red Dead Redemption 2, which I agree with Rand. It was, my favorite game of that year. They're excellent developers in some respects, but when you look at what's going on with GTA Online, and again, their publishers' extremely aggressive moves, it's hard to want to support them, and it's hard to feel bad for them when something like this happens. With BGS, at least there was a little bit of sympathy from some people, like, man, this sucks. But with Rockstar, it's like, oh, well, I don't care. So I don't think people's expectations were far out, and I don't think it's unfair for people to expect something that works. Whether it's good or bad, we can talk about that on an execution level. If it looks good or bad, we can discuss that. But people should be able to expect something that works, especially when they're paying for it, and now it's their only option. And they have a lot of work to get this done. So I don't know, for such a definitive edition, I found it quite disappointing to see what they did with it.
Agreed, brother.
Yeah, but otherwise, that's all we've got for episode 46 of Defining Duke. Quite the long one here, Rand. Thank you so much for doing this marathon with us. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always cool to hang out with both you guys. And next time, hopefully we can have the proper invasion.
Yeah.
I thought coming in here, be like, oh, this is gonna be a 5-hour show. If Jez was here, this was gonna be a long one. And hopefully he feels better in time for Xbox 2 this weekend. But thank you guys so much for having me on. It's always a blast talking with you guys.
Of course.
No doubt. Salute to the homie Rand, man. Always a pleasure talking to you, picking your brain. One of my favorite podcasts. And again, man, it's always, I know Jess would have been like a 7-hour.
Yeah.
But I just thought about it because I was like, we had so much good stuff to talk about with you. You know what I mean? So, again, we wish him the best, but appreciate you pulling up, man. Love your insight, love your takes. We think very similar and talk to you all the time. So it's family. Xbox 2 and the Duke's always fam.
Absolutely.
Great show, Matty. Held it down as always.
Oh, yeah, with my candles,
Classic.
I was co-host for like a minute there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How'd that feel? Was that good?
Yeah.
That was good. Just send the paycheck over to
What's the hashtag? I can't even think, man. I don't even know. I forgot about the hashtag just now. Let Rand pick one. I was
going to say that. Yeah, Rand, you got an idea for a hashtag?
Yeah, sure. You know what? Hashtag Randall Cheap, I guess.
Oh, well, Cheap DD?
Yeah, Cheap DD. There you go.
Cheap DD. I like it. I like Cheap DD. That's fire. Right. Love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you got this deep in this marathon of an episode, hashtag Cheap DD in the comments, or go to us on Twitter at G27status, at Lord Cognito, and is it Rand _ Al?
Yeah, it's all under Rand _Al _Thor _19.
There we go.
That's why I never mention my Twitter handle, because it's just a mouthful to say.
Absolutely. I feel you on that. Mine has nothing to do with my brand. I was like my second YouTube channel. I never changed it.
Yeah. I always wanted to ask you, what's the G27?
It's literally just when I made my second ever YouTube channel, I was Glitcher27. This was my second channel, G27 Status, which was like a competitive Call of Duty.
Okay.
And then you can, if anyone looks up G27 Status, you can find a video of me announcing Mr. Matty Plays there. And it's a black screen with white text saying like, here's what I'm doing. And I abandoned that channel. Everything there is deleted. It was just a bunch of Call of Duty videos, so people can go dig up that lore. But yeah, that's where G27 Status comes from. And so
salute.
No brand symmetry here. We don't need that. I'm Mr. Matty. I'm Retro Rebound. I'm the Duke, and I am G7 status.
Salute to the history, though.
Thank you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you so much for tuning in. We can't insult you for this one if you sat this long. Thank you so much, and we'll hopefully see you next week for episode 47. Take good care of yourselves, and peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.